This video is a good one. It's a compilation of all the various people that we've interviewed about growing their business, the things they've learned. And so this is a great video just to leave it on while you're driving, sitting there, whatever it is. If you watch this video, you will absorb so much stuff. Jumping right into it with the first one.
Going from 0 to 25K a month as a real estate photographer, something that sounds impossible for so many people. And it can be a really big challenge, but it doesn't have to be if you do things right. And take that from two people who have both gotten to 25K a month and well past that. But the difference is I took years to do it and Kevin took months to do it. And so on this video, we're gonna talk about some of the things that allowed us both to do that, some things we see people doing wrong, hopefully have a value packed video for you. We were talking about this earlier, actually, Kevin and I. How fast, if you had to go to a new market, so like if I dropped a pin on a map, at least in the US, Canada, Australia, I mean, maybe some areas would be a little more tough because real estate market's not there. If I threw a pin, like how fast do you think you get to 10K a month?
10K a month? I think minimum 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I really pushed and I really like and I came with like that challenge in mind, I might be able to hit it in the first month.
Yeah.
I
you have like a pretty good for at least 5K your first month, right?
Well, I mean, I did 5K my first month.
Yeah. So you've already done it. Yeah. So it's like that's and I wanted to start with that because it's like an annoying thing. You're like, great, Kevin can do it, right? But it's like, everybody could do it if they knew what to do. And so that's what it's about. It's knowing what to do. So like,
and I think the reason we start with that is because I talk to a lot of people and I tell them how much we're making at National Media Company. And they're like, well, that works in your market. And like, we just hear it all the time. Well, in my market. And it's so that's kind of where that idea came from. It's like, well, I bet you I can move to your market and hit X amount.
Because it's about the steps. And it's like, here's the other thing too, right? So you could move to their market and do it.
Yeah.
They could also move to a better market. People have a lot of complaints, right? Oh, I can't do it in my market. You don't have to be in your market. I know it's scary to move, but that's kind of what we want to talk about in this video is like, it's not, there's a lot of things people believe that are holding them back that are not actually holding them back.
Yeah.
So we talked about, earlier today, what's the most common question you get from people like that are just starting?
Yeah. Oh my God, the most common question is what camera do you use and what are your settings?
Every time.
Who's your editor?
Who's your editor?
Is the number one like meme of a question that I get asked like on a daily basis. Who's your editor?
And that's what I'm saying. Like it's the reason that people grow slowly. And I tell me if you disagree with this, but the reason people grow slowly is because it's not that they don't do stuff. I mean, sometimes people are a little lazy. We'll talk about that in a second. But it's like that they focus on the wrong stuff. So if you start in a new market, you're not spending a lot of time on what camera gear you have, is my guess. You're not spending a lot of time on who your editor is, right? You're picking these things, and then what are you doing? Like, what are your first steps?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, like, when they decide, okay, cool, I'm going to do this, they start diving deep into the gear, the settings, all this, and then they do all this planning before they even get started. But it's like, forget all of that. Like, you just have to figure those things out along the way. And I think just people get hung up on those little things, and you're not really going to have those answers in the beginning before you even start. Like, you have to figure that part out as you go. So I think the questions that you need to be asking yourself are like, what type of business do I want to have? Like one of the first conversations that you and I had, you asked me point blank, like, how much money do you want to make? I was like, I don't know, as much as I can. And you're like, well, that sounds great, but no, like you have to have a specific number. So I had no idea. So okay,
and that number can change.
Yeah, it can absolutely. So in the beginning, I just wanted to replace my income. All right, I was making about $140,000 a year in California. I moved to Tennessee. I really had no idea like what good money was in Tennessee. So I said, okay, here.
You got to do this first.
So, okay, cool. That's a good starting point. That's the goal that we set. And then we hit that, like, I think month number 6. At month number 6, I'm like, well, that was a lot faster than I thought.
Now what?
And then now what? So now the goal moved to like 20 or 30. And now we're, so it's but that was the most important thing in the beginning was identifying how much I wanted to make and what my business looked like in the beginning. Before,
that way you can actually build it. It's like if you don't know what you're trying to build, how are you going to build it?
Before diving deep into the editors and this and settings, blah, blah, and that's like, no. You have to start with the end in mind and then break it down going backwards. Like that was.
I think people do all the small stuff first. So it's like, if you're listening and you haven't done your first shoot yet, if I'm like, I want you to do your first shoot tomorrow, that fear, you feel it, right?
Oh yeah.
And so what people have a tendency to do, and maybe this is true for you, is like they're here and I think that, and if you disagree, let me know. I think everybody needs to do their first shoot as fast as humanly possible before they're ready and all that stuff. Because what people do is they feel I'm not ready, and so they spend so much time trying to get ready that they never do the shoot. It's like something you want to say?
So I went the opposite way. Like people over-plan before the first shoot. I went the opposite way. I showed up to my first shoot
scared.
My hand was literally shaking. Like I cold called the agent, like, and I just had to like kind of fake it till you make it a little bit. And I showed up and I shot. It was like an 8,000 square foot house. I had no clue what I was doing.
Too,
and like, you told me to practice at my own house. Mess around with the camera. I skipped that. I was like, I'll figure it out there at the house. And I remember calling Kenny new team, and I was like, Kenny, 911, emergency. I was like, help. I was
how do I turn the camera on?
How do I turn the camera on? Like, what is F9? What is that?
Yeah.
What the F? I told him, like, what F number am I supposed to be at? Like, but I'm there, but like, it's just there's value in like just figuring it out as you go.
Well, because I don't think you can actually figure it out until you do it.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things we do in coaching a lot is like we try to. My favorite thing, and I kind of like sneak attack people with this. I'll be like, don't worry, like you need to start reaching out. You're not going to get a shoot this week. My favorite thing is when someone gets a shoot like immediately, and they're like, Eli, you said I wouldn't get it. I'm like, well, now you got it. You better figure it out because like you need to like what you don't want to do is you're here and you're here. You don't want to push this gap bigger. You want to bring this up because this gap is the fear stage. Here's your first shoot or your first 10 shoots. Here's where you are now. It's like what people do is they're like scared of this, so they push it out. It's like you just made the fear longer. Like we need to get the fear closer together. And so that's what I like about what you did. And that's a thing that we see a lot among people who grow quickly. Is everybody has the fear. Like you said, you were literally shaking. I was shaking when I did my first shoot. Everybody's scared. And you actually spend more time scared if you push it out. It's really interesting. Like if you just get it over with, it's like ripping the Band-Aid off. And
exactly. And
just getting to that first shoot is like is a big. I mean, was that a big milestone for you? Probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then things just start happening. Like all the other fears and all the other like what ifs, they just kind of like those questions answer themselves. They go away. Yeah. It's.
Let's talk about a couple things that I know we both agree on these, and I don't know if you have them like written down in a certain way, but like there's some things that you believe are true in this business that have helped you. That when you said them earlier, I was like 100% agree with that.
In the beginning, I would spend like an hour and a half on the phone with people, and it was like. I'd walk away from the conversation like I don't know if they got any value. So I started writing these things down. Like I try to limit myself to like 20 minutes talking to these people on the phone, and I've actually learned a lot from them. Some of the things I've written down, I try to write these down in like order of like
importance. Yeah, like you gotta do them in this.
Like
dude, the first one I think is huge.
Well, yeah. Step one for me was burn the ships. Right. For me, I like once I decided I wanted to do this, I said forget about everything else. Like I'm all in here. And I think just having that all-in mentality is huge. And that could look different for some people. Like for me, I quit my other job, my part-time job, and I had the belief in myself. I didn't know what I was doing. I had zero experience, but I knew in my heart that this would work.
Well, and you didn't give yourself a dang other option. Yeah. I mean, that's
exactly. I wanted to put like my back up against the wall.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to give myself another choice. That doesn't necessarily have to look like that for other people.
Yeah, I mean, the concept I like is like the burn the ships thing is like, right, if you want to take the island, you got to burn the ships, the longer quote. You have to give yourself no other option. And so one thing that I see a lot of people do wrong is they're like, I'm trying real estate photography. Like they're kind of 1 foot in. That's never going to work. So maybe you're not in a position you can quit your job from day one. That's totally fine. Most people we help, replace their income on the side first. I think that's great, but it's the mentality of like, I am going to make this happen. So when you have an extra hour, you're putting in the work. Like this is not a like, we'll see. If you approach this with a we'll see mentality, it's not going to happen. So you have to be committed, and I like that.
Yeah.
So,
burn the ships for sure, and then like that's step one. Burn the ships. Step two is clarity is power.
Yeah.
Like you have to have that goal in mind, whatever it is. I don't care if it's for me. I think we came up with like 10,000.
Yeah.
Whatever. If it takes a year, it takes a year. But we had that goal. For some people, it might be, hey, I'm going to be part time, so I want to hit 4,000 a month, 6,000 a month, whatever it is. Like set that goal, and it can always change in the future. And then step number 3 for me was do the right things for the right reasons, and money will follow. Like, yes, you have to have that goal in mind, but it's not about the money. You can't be chasing the dollar amount because people will know.
Because then you make short-term decisions too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing.
Yeah, have a goal and then put that off to the back and then proceed with do the right things for the right reasons. And what that looks like to me is your paint the shed story.
Yeah.
Just being genuine, like wanting to help people, having that servant mentality, and like
you make money according to the value you provide, right? And so like what you're saying is if you do this stuff, it's like a lot of people, if you focus too much on like trying to make money, what happens is like, let's say you have a client cancel, right, last minute. If you're trying to make money, you're like, well, I should have charged a late fee or a fee for canceling last minute, right? Yeah. So it's like that's kind of where the practical thing happens of like you make bad decisions in the short term. So like at Kevin's business, if someone cancels, he might be like, oh, but he's gonna be like, oh, totally and he gets them back on the schedule, and it's like a nice thing. So like you serve. One of our company values at my company is we love our clients. If you treat them that way, like you get so many clients because you make people happy and they refer you and your business grows, and that's how you build the kind of business that Kevin and I had, bigger businesses, right? Because we treat clients well. So anyway.
Yeah, so that's step 3, do the right things for the right reasons. And then 4 and 5 are kind of the same. Like 4 is, I'll start with 5. 5 is figure it out. Yeah. Like that was just like my own, and this is just like to myself or like to people that I jump on the phone with. I tell them like step 5 is like figure it out. And it's like you have to have you got to be a little bit gritty. You got to have like that like
well, it's a mentality of like, you're not going obstacle. I knew this was going to happen. I can't do it. It's like, here we are. How are we getting over this?
Exactly.
Keep moving.
Yeah. And then number 4 is kind of like the same thing is don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. And I say that a lot, but it's just, it's a nice little like soundbite just to remember like, hey, don't wish you were easier, wish you were better. And that could be
at
any point in the business, like
at every point.
Yeah, like exists. The Instagram method.
We were talking about that the other day. Isaiah behind the camera, we were literally talking about that, were we not? He was like, yeah, we were talking about it. It's a Jim Rohn quote. It's funny because like so many people repeat stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like if you go back, so it's like people say that now. Tony Robbins, I would imagine says that, but it was his mentor Jim Rohn that came up with that quote, from my understanding. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. And that could be like with the Instagram method. I get a lot of complaints from people that are newer that I've been doing the Instagram method for 3 months.
Yeah.
I've sent 1,000 messages. And nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Wish you were better.
And before we tackle this, like, don't wish you were easier, wish you were better.
Yeah.
So then we
then what's required to get better?
Yeah. So then we deep dive. There's always something that they're doing wrong.
Yes.
But they just.
That's what we were talking about earlier. It's like if you think about, any client acquisition method could be, we call it the outbound method, which is calling people in Zillow, the Instagram method, which is our kind of like proven thing we've used for years that works really well and we help people with. But it's not. If you miss some of it, it doesn't work. So we think of it like a chain. Is like there's your profile, how it looks, and then the next link is the message you're sending and the things you're doing prior to the message, and the next link is the offer you provide, and the next link is what you say when you get it. So it's like this chain that goes together. And so when people say, "Oh, I've done this and it doesn't work," which first of all, it's very rare. Kevin and I were laughing about this earlier. Most people say, "Hey, I've done the Instagram method for 3 months." Months is not an amount. It's an amount of time, but not an amount of Instagram method, right? It's like I've sent 25 messages a week for 3 months is different than I've done it for 3 months. Because when people say that, it's usually like they've sent 50 total messages in 3 months. So it's like the volume wasn't there. But let's say the volume is there. It's like you got to make sure the chain is there. So what Kevin's saying, like, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Like, you got to fix one of those links and it will work. So anyway, hijack the conversation there. But
no, absolutely, I love it. And I get that one kind of. I should probably rearrange these, but that like flows right into this. My commandment number 8 is the magic. This is what I just learned, and I had to sneak it in here. The magic you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding.
Oh, dude, every time.
Oh my God.
At every stage of the business, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was talking to Colleen from 3 Palms Media, and I sent her this list, and she's like, "Cool. Which one of those do you need to take?" And I was like, "That one."
Yeah, that one.
And like that one's evergreen. It's true in the beginning. It's true for me now, a year and a half in.
Yeah.
It's like so.
Well, dude, yes, it's like we were talking about with the first shoot, right? It's like that's the thing you need to do, and you're the most scared of. You got to do it, right? Then you get the first shoot, and it's like, what do you need to do next? You need to reach out to those people, call people. The point where Kevin, he's just getting past this point, but it's like he needs to hire people. He needs to figure out. It's like it's so easy. We're talking about how it's when you're growing your business, especially when you're 25, 30, 35K a month. It's really easy to be like, the lazy thing is doing the long work. It's getting up, it's going to shoots, doing that stuff. The hard thing is actually hiring that person and growing it. So that's always true.
Yeah, in the beginning, I thought reaching out to people on Zillow, cold call was hard. I thought the Instagram method was hard. I thought building a business and getting the first 10 clients was hard.
Yeah.
Now
it's like the next stage.
No, it's like now shooting is so easy.
Yeah.
Getting new clients is so easy.
Yeah.
Like to the point where like doing that for me now is like almost me being lazy.
Yes. You have to do like the next thing.
Now I have to do
read that again. I agree with that so much. What was
the magic? The magic you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding.
Yeah.
And then just I was talking to another real estate media owner, and he said something. He said something that it's hilarious that when he started, he was like, did I make the right choice? Did I mess up? I spent all this money on coaching. I spent all this money on gear. What have I done? Like he actually thought like I need to like return all this, cut my losses. And fast forward a year later, he's like, oh man, it's actually so easy to get to like 10,000 a month. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I kicked myself because like we should have recorded that conversation.
Yeah.
Because he had a lot of the same.
Everybody has the.
Yeah. He had the exact same fears the same fears I had. Probably the same fears that you had.
100%.
So I talked to at least one new person every single day, and all the same fears that fears or roadblocks that they're having or limiting beliefs. He had them.
Yes.
I had them.
It's the same.
And now,
everybody's business. That's why in coaching it's so funny because like we've seen this before.
Yeah.
You've seen this when you talk to somebody. It's the same every single time.
It's so cool.
Yeah, we were talking about earlier. I won't say his name, but it's a guy in coaching who the easier answer at any stage of your business is quit. It's always easier because in the short term, but it's worse in the long term. So I was telling you about him. He joined and like a month into joining, starting to get some progress, but then he gets hit with this tax bill from last year unrelated to his business. And his first thought was, I need to like get out of this. I need to refund coaching, do everything. And he wasn't able to. We were like, no, you can't do that, right? And he just hit a $16,000 month.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, dude, imagine that. Like, you don't know it's going to play out like that, but it does most of the time if you stick with it. And it was such a good, like visual of it. It's like it was so easy to be like, oh, 4K, let me like go back and I'll get out of it. It was like, man, if he would have done that, and it's not just coaching, it's any decision in your business, right? If he would have done that, he would have missed out on a 16K a month business. So
I'm not gonna lie, I had the same thing. Like you talked about like how a lot of people end up self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
You know, and like for some people it's worse than others. But if I'm being honest with myself, when I hit like the month number 6, when I think it hit like 15,000 a month.
Yeah.
I honestly did start self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
You know, it's embarrassing to admit it out loud,
Dude,
but it happens. It's common. And so it was a little bit like, it was a little bit relieving to hear that.
Yeah, that everybody does it.
Yeah. But it's just funny. It's funny that everybody has the same fears in the beginning.
But they think they're special. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Did you feel like it was easier for everybody else?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I before I started, I looked at some of the other people who were like a year or two in.
Yeah.
And yeah, like deep down in me, I thought, well, it worked for them, but they had something that I didn't.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. Their market, their background, the money they had.
And you mentioned earlier about the market thing. Like I hear a lot of people say that, well, you're in LA, you're in Nashville, you're in Florida, so of course you're doing these big numbers. But you brought up a few people to me that were doing these crazy numbers.
Hundreds of thousands a month.
We won't name the states because I think that'll be a giveaway. But like they're in states that you would never think that was possible. I don't think it was possible.
Well, I mean, one of them is a guest coach on our team, Todd. I mean, he does a couple $100,000 a month.
Yeah,
in Ohio.
No shade to Ohio, but
it's not LA, a huge market.
It's not Miami. They're just doing crazy numbers.
It is.
So it's just a limiting belief. At the end of the day, there's so many limiting beliefs. At the beginning, in the middle, when you self-sabotage, there's all these limiting beliefs, and I guess that'll
they come true if you let them. Keep it too. If you
that kind of flows. Get into this one here is having. I call it. Well, I stole it from Patrick Bet-David, but he mentioned like the importance of having your running mate.
Yeah.
You know,
someone
or your coach, or having like any form of mentorship. You can't do this alone.
No.
You know, I'm sitting here saying that we're doing X amount, but there's no way I did it by myself. There's no way. You know, whether it was you guys, whether it was somebody else who had a lot more experience, like there's no way I could have done.
You need a
What
community.
I did.
And preferably both.
Yeah.
Like, you know, at least in my business, the first 5 years I was very isolating to myself. So I didn't talk to anybody else in the industry because I was worried they were all competitors, right? So I didn't avoid them. I didn't join any sort of coaching because first of all, I was very stupid because I thought that real estate media businesses was different than any other business. And so I just didn't do it. And it's like, you really need all that. If you have all that, it's a superpower. I think that's why because you know, like you and Mike talk a lot, obviously. They've both grown incredible businesses in you know, not in the same area. Like you've been around people in our community, coaching, that kind of stuff. And it's like, I think you need all of it if you want to grow the fastest. I didn't have any of it. You can do it without it. It's just slow.
Yeah. Somebody asked me the other day if coaching was worth it for me.
Yeah.
And I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what was the main thing they did for me? And just like off the top of my head, what coaching did for me was, it was hard to explain, but the way I kind of verbalized it was, coaching got me to a point in my business that on my own would have taken me at least 3 or 4 years. Head down, doing everything I could, trial and error. It would have taken me at least 3 to 4 years. But coaching for me shortened that a lot, and for many reasons. But any form of mentorship, whether it's somebody who just, you know, whether it's another media company owner, just you
got to have something.
You got to.
Well, and that's like, I think what happens is people have a level of cynicism in there. So when like they hear us talking about like coaching, it's like, oh, this is like Eli pitching coaching. It doesn't matter if you're in this business. I don't care if you get coaching for somebody else. I don't care if you slam a ton of audiobooks. Like, you have to do something. And I think it's a good thing to talk about at this point, which is cynicism doesn't really help you grow a business. Like, it's good to be naturally a little bit of skeptic, but like when we start talking about stuff like that, people do that. So I don't know. Any thoughts on like cynicism in general? Like, I think that's a limiting beliefs thing. It's like, if you're cynical, the business is going to work. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that if you notice yourself slipping into, you have to get out of that, because I don't know anybody who's a cynic who's successful.
Yeah. I have that as well, and I think that's why my running mate Mike, he helps me talk myself out of that.
Yes.
Because I end up like, you will have rough days.
Yes.
There are rough months and weeks, and you end up like I like to consider myself a very optimistic person, but even then I find myself having very cynical thoughts.
Yes.
And there's been times in my business where I have become resentful of the business or of my clients. And it's like,
you have to have someone give you like,
you have to have somebody else kind of slap. It's weird, man. We're you know, people are weird. So you have to have somebody that's looking, you know, somebody with a different perspective who is dealing with the same things. Like, hey man, like,
but it might not be their bad day aligning with your bad day.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So you just, I think having like I said, Patrick Bet-David said the best, like your running mate is just so important. Whether that be your spouse or a partner or somebody else, it doesn't have to be in your same state. I mean, I bug you like on a daily basis.
We have the internet these days.
There's a Facebook group, whatever, but you have to have, it's a support system. You have to have the support system. Because that cynicism creeps in.
It'll kill you. I mean, it's like, and then you're like, well, I told you. It's like, who are you proving a point to? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
You're the one without a business. Let's see if I have anything else in my notes. I guess one more thing that we can kind of end on this. You didn't wait for your clients to come to you. You went and found your clients. And I would say that you were probably borderline annoying to clients.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people are afraid of being that. So, like, I don't know. I know I just threw that at you, but, like, anything that comes to mind when I talk about being annoying or, like, I mean, because you didn't let your client, you're not just sitting there waiting.
So, and again, I have a lot of conversation with people that are newer, so it helps me, like, verbalize this stuff. But what people ask me, like, what did you do to get clients? You know, was it the Instagram method? And I said, but it was
everything.
For me, it was everything. You can't have one without the other. For me, because like my first commandment was burn the ships. When I had that mentality, it was like, I'm not coming home until I did something to get a new client. So for me, that looked like showing up to an open house, which a lot of people will tell you not to do.
It works if you do it right.
If you do it right. If you're awkward and, you know.
You have to know your strengths. Actually, one more like side tangent on that. You have to know your strengths. There's so many different ways to get clients, right? The Instagram method, great if you're a little bit more introverted. But if you can step out of your shell a little bit, you can do some outbound method, which is cold calling people on Zillow with the structure. Don't just go rip it off, or you're probably going to be not super successful unless you have a skill of cold calling, right? There's all these things that you can do, and you have to know who you are to know which one to deploy. But the best thing is, if you have the time, what I don't want you to do is do a little bit of all. I want you to do a lot of all or a lot of one. And that's like the thing you really have to, and that's what I think you did well. Is like, you're like, I'm not coming home until I do this. Like you had a whatever it takes thing.
I would call people on Zillow and offer free shoots. That's how I got my first free shoot.
Free important? How do you feel about free?
100% free. A lot of people drop the ball with half off or 10%.
Dude, it doesn't work. You might as well not do it. You might as well not do it.
There's people that have no success with free even. So it's just, but 100% free. If you do it right, it's a no-brainer. If you do it right.
If you do it wrong, it's nobody's going to use it.
You could, if you do it wrong, you could pay somebody.
And they won't take you.
Exactly.
They will not take you.
But a lot of Zillow cold calls, lots of Instagram. I think for me, Instagram was showing up, looking like I was busy, letting everybody know that I was open for business and that I wanted the business. And then, door knocking, good old door knocking. I would show up to brokerages, to their offices, and just meet people, just network with people and let them know, like, hey, I just moved here, from California, and they just start talking, talk to people. You know, whenever I would get on the phone with an agent off of Zillow, and they were like, "No, you know what? The house is already under contract, so I don't need the photos for this one." I'd still sit there and talk to them. And I just start going into my story, like, "Oh, I just moved here from California, blah 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 blah." And oftentimes they would end up referring me to other people
before they even use you.
Before they even met me,
100%.
just talk to people. You know, but it's like, if you're not that, but it's not like I just picked up the phone one day and just started talking. I realized that was something I wanted to do, and I realized if I can get this right, it'll be powerful. So. Rather than just picking up the phone and going for it and learning along the way, I started deep diving YouTube on how to do cold calls.
And how to be build
more,
the skill.
How to be more likable. And, just like pick up little tips and tricks, and also recording myself. I would record myself so I could watch myself back.
Cringe.
I literally would get sick to my stomach watching myself back, but I saw myself. Better. You know, I'd pick up things that I didn't like, or you know, just tweak little things in here. So it's always just constant improvement. And I think that goes back to like commandment number 5 is like to figure it out. You know, don't wish you were easier, wish you were better. So just that applies to a lot of areas in your business for sure.
And I think an important thing, this is kind of a good way to wrap this up, is there's different levels of what you need to do to get a result. And that's why it's so important to know your goal. If your goal is to make $4,000 a month, you don't have to do what Kevin did, right? You barely have to do anything. You just have to do enough of it, right? And so that's why it's so important to know. Maybe you're hearing this and you're going, I can't, like, you know yourself, and you're like, I'm not going to be able to do that right now. I have this responsibility, I have this. And I'd challenge you on that. I'd tell you to push harder than you think. I'm sure Kevin would the same. But also, like, that's how Kevin got to, you know, in a month period, a $50,000 business, and he'll continue to grow over the next few months in a year and a half, right? You don't need to be on that track if that's not your goal. And so that's why it's important to know, hey, if you just want to make $5K a month, you don't have to do, I mean, how much could less have you done to make $5K? Probably a lot. You know what I mean? You could dock it up a lot. And so that's why we started with the goal. Maybe your goal isn't to grow that big business. Maybe it's, like Kevin said, on the side 5K. Maybe it's 10K. But you know that, and you kind of, you know, modulate the level of effort you're going to put in. Because some people hear this and they'll go, well, real estate media is not for me. And it's like, no, just maybe not at that level. You know, you have to know what that is. And then once you start doing it, then you can kind of move that goalpost a little. And so I guess as homework for this video, what do you think is a good thing for them to do? Focus on the goal first and then reverse engineer it? Or like,
Absolutely, yeah. Identify what your personal life looks like and what your business looks like.
Yeah.
You know, how much money do you want to make, and what does your personal life look like?
Yeah. And then build that. Don't build anybody else's version.
And then just go.
Yeah.
Right. Like instead of just sitting there and planning, like I could have probably taken 3-4 months to get started, but I just went for it.
Yeah.
You know, and I just had that belief. I had you in my corner.
Yeah.
So I went for it. You know, and then figured it out along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go for it, everybody. Whatever yours is, figure it out and go for it. We'll see you in the next video. Welcome in, everybody. We got a good one for you all today. We got Kenny in here as usual, but not as usual. We have Tyler in here. So excited to have Tyler. We're going to jump into the start, talking a little bit about Tyler's story, building his business. Kenny and Tyler have worked together in coaching. So Kenny's here as well because he knows a lot about Tyler's path. So anyway, quick intro on Tyler. He has built his business started in January of 2023. So that's like a year and a half ago. And since then gone from zero to $30,000 in a 4-week period. So 30,000 in a month. He was at a mastermind of ours recently in Nashville, and it was a great mastermind. And he just like told everybody what they needed to hear. It was very funny. So Tyler, glad to have you on here. Spend some time.
Happy to be here, as always.
All right, let's jump into it. So just recap kind of like a high level overview, I guess, of your story, what you think made you successful, and then I'll ask some follow-ups and we'll do some Q&A for everybody listening.
Yeah. So long story short, you know, everyone right out of high school, they think, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to college? And I did. I went to college, and about 3.5 years in, I did my last semester online and moved to Aiken, South Carolina, because I grew up in the horse industry, picking stalls, like never too good to get down and dirty. Picking stalls, rode horses. I was like a barn manager and a rider, and didn't really know anything about photography. And somehow bought a camera with my stimulus check during COVID, a Nikon D800, I think it was, with like a 55 to 300. I don't even know what it's worth. So that was like the initial purchase of a camera. Fast forward a little bit in, my camera was stolen about a year in, but I taught myself fully manual, and I was shooting horse shows at the time to like make extra income on the weekends while I was in college. And then I still didn't know what I wanted to do, so I continued on with my master's and got my master's in digital media and marketing. But at the same time, as I was starting my master's, I bought Eli's course on real estate photography because I was working on the weekends and I had Monday through Friday. Of course, I had school that I could do, but I purchased your course, completed the whole thing in 2 weeks. I'm talking like I would go do my necessary things during the day, go home, turn off the lights, and just put on my headphones and watch and take notes. And I completed, like I said, the whole course in 2 weeks. I was super excited. There was another guy, I think his name is David. He's in the REPP group on Facebook. Mm-hmm. He gave me, I think, 3 of his shoots, which were over an hour and a half away, for me to go do some test shots with him, or not even with him. He was like, I'm not going to be there. I'm having a kid. I need help. So I went and did it, and I was like texting him, blowing him up the whole time I was there. I think for 25 photos and a floor plan and drone, I was there for 3 hours. There was like construction workers outside waiting on me. So that was great. He paid me a little bit, so that was even better. Got my gas paid for. And so I had my first paid shoot, March of 2023.
Okay.
And it just slightly picked up. If I had my calendar in front of me, I wish I could just scroll through because you could just see on my Google Calendar the purple things. Every month got a little bit more and more and more. And I was following the course. Anytime I had a question or that before coaching, I just referred back to the course. I mean, I would even turn it on in the car as like a podcast.
Yeah. So
I was just really into it. And I never, even in college, was I ever into what I studied. I mean, it was just business. So then I was averaging about $7,000 a month towards the end of the year. And then coaching came along. So I bought coaching, had my initial conversation. They were like, "What's your goal?" And I said, "I want to double my profit. You know, if I had a starter goal, it would be to double. So we're talking $14,000." And I said, "But if I really wanted to set a high goal, I would like to be close to the $20,000 mark." But I didn't think that was possible. And I think his name was Carlos. I don't know if he's still with you guys, but he was like, "Why do you not think it's possible?" He's like, "If you think it's not possible, it's not going to be possible." And I was like, okay, it's possible. So I went through with it, started with Kenny, and of course, that's when we were on, what's the other, Slack. And we had the build out of the roadmap. And I knocked, the first roadmap out in like the first day. The second roadmap took me maybe 2 or 3 days. Then we got to the third roadmap, and I was like, okay, I'm sorry, I can't do, like, I'm trying.
Yeah.
But the first month I bought coaching, I went from 7 to 9.1 or 9.2 thousand. And I was like, oh, wow. And then by the second month, I was already at double, 14. I was at my goal within the first 60 days.
Yeah.
And then fast forward about 4.5, 5 months in, we were at $30,000 within a 4-week period. So obviously on Stripe, it records it by month. So that's why I have on my profile and stuff 0 to 25,000, but really it should be 30.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. And I just started client acquisition.
Yep.
3 days ago, and I've already booked 3 new clients. Have had 0 no's yet, so that's good. I'm doing brokerage calls. I did like 10 this week, and I've got 2 yeses out of that. The other ones, no callbacks, or they didn't answer. So you just gotta want it, and I want it, and it's been positive for me. July was a little slow, but I mean, the last 2 days I walked away with almost $2,000 plus a day. So we're back. We're getting back up there.
What do you think for you? Like, you obviously, coaching course, all that stuff aside, some people grow faster than others. You've grown fast, in a short period of time. What do you think it is for you? Like, what did you do to get your initial clients? And do you have anything that you think has made you successful? You move quickly, so obviously that, but anything come to mind?
So, I mean, I genuinely like to think I'm a people person, and I try to tell people that are not people persons, that are my friends, I'm like, because there's a guy that's 3 hours from me who did wedding photography, and he's a volunteer firefighter. I was like, dude, you just gotta smile, act like you know what you're doing, and like go in with confidence, and it'll sell itself. And I mean, the first shoot I ever did for myself, I forgot to take a picture of the front of the hotel. So of course I did a really bad thing, and I went on Google and looked up the hotel and took the photo, adjusted it in Lightroom, and sent it back to her. And she loved it. Nobody ever said anything, and she's still a client to this day. And she doesn't know that I did that to this day. But I didn't stop. And I will say, I think I don't have, a partner, nor do I have kids. It's me and the business. And I'm still giving it my all. I mean, I'm still not going to bed sometimes past 10 o'clock. And there were times I talked to Kenny, I'm like, dude, Kenny, this is killing me. And Kenny's a coach, so what does he do? He gives you advice. He says, you've got to do this. When he introduced me to a VA, I'm telling you, my life changed. The numbers were up. I have not looked at a past shoot probably since February. Like, genuinely, like, needed to go look at something. Now, every once in a while, I'll have someone message me, say, hey, Tyler, can you remove this girl out of the pool or something like that? So I go and look and see what she's talking about, and I voice memo on Facebook Messenger to my guy, Joseph, and I'm like, Joseph, I need this done, and he sends me a thumbs up. So that's why when I went to that mastermind in Nashville, and some of them people in there that did not have a VA but had photographers working for them and doing like X amount of money per month, waking up in the morning. Like, the day Kenny allowed me to buy back my time in the mornings to make my cup of coffee and have my shower and take a deep breath and
enjoy life a little bit.
Yes. If I forget to plug something in, I just plug it in really quick. Like,
yeah,
it's honestly been game changer. And coaching, like, I needed, obviously it tells you that in the course if you would have purchased it previously, but no one was there to like push you and, you know, hold you accountable. And you can go get an accountability coach, but they're not real estate photographer accountability coaches. They don't know what a heck, like, who knew that you could get someone in the Philippines and have them basically work for you? Yeah. I mean, I've got 2 now, and they are amazing. They work for me 6 a.m. to 12, and then 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. So
yeah, for everybody
going around the clock
listening, basically there's kind of like 2 stages, in my opinion, to growing a real estate media business. There's the first stage where you're just grinding it out. I mean, you got to get to like 7 to 10K a month before you think about any VAs, in my opinion, right? Some people do it sooner. I just don't think it makes sense. But then where people get stuck is they get to like 10, 15, even 20, and they're doing all the work themselves, but there's like no time. Like they're not enjoying themselves. I mean, it's enjoyable to make money, right? But like if you're working from the time you get up to the time you go to bed and you're not able to grow your business past that point, it's not super enjoyable. So like the second stage is the leverage stage. You first start bringing in a VA. In VAs, there's a cost of living difference. So there's a big, they call it BPO industry in the Philippines, business process outsourcing. So that's why a lot of businesses will hire talent from other countries, especially US-based businesses, because the cost of living is way different. Also, the time zone is opposite. So if you're hiring like someone to edit, for example, you shoot during the day, the end of the day, you give them your photos and it's their morning. And so they edit during their workday. And so anyway, the second stage is a leverage stage, and it starts with VAs. You bring in VAs to help you, and then photographers, and that's kind of how you grow your business. And so, yeah, just a great tool. I'm glad you brought that up, Tyler. What do you think? So what did you do to get clients at the start? Because I know you didn't do like the traditional path that a lot of people follow with the Instagram method and that kind of stuff. Like, how did you actually get clients?
So I should have, that's the one thing that I did not follow in the course, but I had the ability, I had friends in real estate, so I did have that upper level right there, but I'm born and raised where I'm from, and I just started reaching out, texting people. I know that's not allowed, but that's what I did. But if you do it in a way that's personable, it doesn't come off as, you know, I'm not trying to sell you something. Well, I guess I'm trying to sell you a service, but
yeah,
I'm trying to help you. And I was offering something, like we say now, something of quality, something of value to benefit them. And that's what you had to sell them on. And I did very quickly.
So you just put yourself out there. I mean, you got in contact just in a different method with people, as many as you could.
And but not only that, the more I've gone to know Tyler and all that, he's very personal, like he was saying. Whenever he's talking to someone, he's not trying to be like this big corporation or anything. He's just being himself. And I think that's one of the reasons why his clients and everyone that gets to meet him just like eventually like, I want to continue being friends with this dude because like, you know, he's just being himself. While a lot of people that I've noticed, like one of the biggest mistakes that they do is just like, they try to pretend to be somebody that they're not. And so it comes off as fake. And so agents can definitely tell that, like humans themselves can definitely tell that when you're not being yourself. And so whether you're texting, like he was saying, you're not supposed to be texting and all that, but like he made it so personal that the agent was like, oh, okay, yeah, let me reply to this random number, whatever, you know. And like that's something that I really like about how he's just himself.
Yeah, when anybody can do that too. I think the problem is not even like, yeah, being personable is a skill and it helps. But if you just act yourself, you're going to do a lot better than someone that's introducing themselves as we have this and my company this and all this stuff where it's just not about the person, you know. And I think Tyler, you do that really well, like just naturally. And that's why you've grown so fast. Is there anything like if you could go back, not join coaching sooner or whatever, but like if you could go back and restart, is there anything in your business you would have done differently or more quickly?
Oh yeah. Okay, for one, I would have hired a VA when I would have started hitting the initial 7,000 revenue mark. I would have hired way, way, way sooner. And that's something that they tell you in coaching. I don't think that's really announced a bunch in the offered course. But I would have had one ready to go. And then once that one's ready to go, then you're able to bring on another one. I mean, when I went to that mastermind in Nashville, and you said, give you a number, and I said 1 million, and you said you need 7 photographers to hit $83,000 a month. I went home and I hired 4. And now I've got 3. And the other one, she's got her own real estate photography business. We won't talk about her. She's still a really good friend of mine, but she knew what she could make, and so it just didn't work out. Yeah. But 3 is great, especially when July slowed down a little bit. I'm away for 4 days this week and next week. Mm-hmm. I have people making me money while I'm here making me money, so that's double income. So right there, that's telling you, like, I'm doing it right. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. So hiring sooner, hired a VA sooner, and really just, I know I put myself out there, but I wish I would have done the brokerage presentations a little more seriously. I did them, and I was, honestly, the reason why I didn't do them sooner was because I was so busy. Like, you guys told me, Tyler, you're too busy. Like, I was bringing in 25 plus new clients a month as a solo photographer. I mean, I did the 30K as a solo photographer. And that's when Kenny was like, you got to do something, man. You got to get it done. And I literally would schedule my phone calls with Kenny. I'm like, listen, I know what I got to do, but I just need you to tell me what I got to do. Like, you just need to sit me down and tell me. But no, coaching has honestly, without it, I mean, I'm sure I would still continuously increase, but it's boosted me to a whole other level and has opened so many more doors sooner. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, this year I'm already, I wish I would have never accumulated the student debt, but I'm paying down student debt. I'm getting ready to buy a house towards the end of the year. My loan officer, we're ready to go now, but she's like, let's wait till the election thing. So essentially, I would have bought a house this year because of coaching. Wow. It's just, I think about where I was making $550 a week, basically 7 days a week, shoveling horse shit, riding horses, working literally 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. sometimes. And then if we're at a horse show, like, that's where I am today, guys, if you're wondering why I'm here. But I did photography and horse show industry before real estate. And I'm still kind of weeding myself out of it in the low profit ones, but this is a pretty profitable one. I just wish I would have started this way sooner. I saw Eli's stuff on Instagram, and I was bookmarking it and saving it and bookmarking it. And then one night, you know how it is when you're laying in the bed and you're just scrolling and you see it, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I put in a lot of credit card details and booked my initial call and started it the next day, and obviously fast forward to today. So I just wish I would have done it, the course, sooner.
I think that's course or not, I think that's everybody's regret with business stuff, and it's just hard to understand that. Everybody does it to themselves. Like, if I look back at my business, my biggest regret was not finding someone that's done what I wanted to do and just learning from them. I just had this idea that no one in the real estate media industry, I didn't feel like there's anybody out there, which was so stupid because there was. But that's why it took so long to grow. Like, it took me 5 years to get where you are in a year and a half. And so I try to do that because I messed that up in my business in the first place. So now with my business, I'm very aggressive with that kind of stuff. I pay a lot of money for everything related to learning because it's the way you compress time. And I think that's really important. Slightly different question I have for you. So you're someone, there's probably a good handful of people here that are doing between $1,000 and $4,000 a month, which is great. I mean, if you're doing zero, dang, there's a lot of mosquitoes out here. If you're doing zero, $1,000 a month sounds awesome, but when you're stuck between 1,000 and 4,000, it's not so great. You want to grow. It's not enough to live off of really for most people. What would you do if today you were at 4,000 a month? What would be your first step tomorrow and for the next couple months?
I just now, and I hope this answers the question, and Kenny can tell you, I just decided less than 2 weeks ago to weed out the free shoots. The free shoots is what got me to where I was. I was doing free shoots at $30,000. I did not care who you were. You got 25 free photos, and then you got 50% off every additional service. Another thing that, I'm glad that I did that I think some people lack at is they think they're not ready for a service. When I started and you guys were saying, just do it, figure it out. I bought the Matterport or the Z Theta, whatever. I had my camera. I had the lens. I downloaded Cubicasa. I offered every service right out the start. I didn't. When they asked me if they said, Tyler, can you do this? I said, yes. but I haven't done a lot. So can you let me do it and bear with me? And I had more confidence as I went on. Even if I'd only done it 2 or 3 times at that point, I knew that I could do it. So I said yes. There was no maybe, but I gave discounts out the butt.
You did what it took to get people to use you, because then you could show them your value. Is kind of what you're saying, right?
Yep. Yeah. And
Taylor,
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, because a lot of people are essentially scared of doing that because they're like, I don't know how to shoot video, I don't know how to do this and that. What made you overcome that fear?
Rep editing. Just kidding. No.
Well, I mean, video and like any services in general. That's the main reason.
I wanted to make money. I don't know. He wanted to make some money.
Really, it just takes doing it. Like, if I didn't know how to do something, I whipped it out and did it at my house. And even then, like, people were not ordering 1 minute long videos. They were ordering 15 and 30. But I was going home and sending in orders for rep editing at 60-second videos like that. And I'm like, I know you didn't order this, but I'm going to give you this. Because I was so amazed with, you might not think that your video is going to be good, but try it. If you're not trying it, then that's your first loss. You need to try it to know like what you can do. And then you do it and you see, okay, I could have done this better there. Okay, well, you know that for next time. Do it. And honestly, I would say my big boost of like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up with my clients was because I was fixing, especially in video, like what was not working. And everyone wants to work with me. Everyone saves me further. Even if they have their loyal photographers, no one in my area, now if someone's in here listening that's in my area, like, I guess it's a competition, but you can't deliver what I've delivered, right now at least. Yeah. And it's kind of like where I've had that conversation with Kenny. You know, when I started coaching, I had to make the decision. Do you want to scale, or do you want to be creative and deliver, you know, these cinematic videos? And I do. That essentially, one day I want to do that. But goal number one is to make money. And to learn how to do that, I've got to be able to have a steady income so that I can take time for myself, because that's something that I want to do. Some people have other hobbies. You've got to make sure to stabilize yourself before you can do something else. And my goal was to grow, and I grew, and I hired, and I'm working on it.
So what's next? 100%. What do you want to see big picture wise?
I already told you this. I want 1 million revenue. There you go. So honestly, like, what's next is expansion. I've got 2 other places in mind. And really, I think, you know, one thing that, like you said, don't wait. And this is something that I think I shouldn't be waiting on, but I am, because I want to make sure that I have all my P's and Q's in a row here. But put someone there. I'm going to fly them, or not fly them. I'm going to have them come down towards me. I'm going to put them up in a hotel. I'm going to teach them everything I know, and then I'm going to take them there. But I know people in that area too, and they know me, and they know my personality, and they know I will do whatever it takes to make it right. You've got to, don't be a butt. Like, oh, this agent is being rude. Like, what do? I don't want to give him a discount. Give him a discount, okay? Like, if I get it, if you need the money, that's one thing. But if you're not gonna kill yourself by losing $30, lose the $30. Like,
well, that's how you make the money in the long term. It's very easy to get like really short term money driven, and when you have that attitude, you don't make any short term money or any long term money. So you don't actually get either. It's one of these. It's a kind. I think it's a Hormozy quote, but it's like, do you want to be right or do you want to be rich? And the quote is kind of like, you know, it's a strong quote, but like the idea behind it is really good too. It's like, there's sometimes you have to make decisions about like, hey, like this client's being a pain and they're asking for a discount because this happened. Like, you're right, you don't have to give them a discount, but if you just suck it up and you do it, they're probably going to use you again in the future, and you're going to make more money overall. And so it's like, I think the thing that people do really well that grow fast, Tyler, you're an example of that, and a lot of other people who've built businesses, is they're willing to make today suck so tomorrow's better, right? And so like that happens at every part of your business. It's like when you join coaching, like you don't want to pay for it, right? That makes today suck more. So you do it, and then you get better. You put in the work. You didn't want to work from 6 a.m. to freaking midnight the days you did. Like, I know that wasn't the most enjoyable thing on earth, right? But like, you did that because it's going to make your tomorrow better. And then you do that enough, and all of a sudden you don't have to anymore, right? Like, where a lot of people struggle, in my opinion, is they if they were willing to make their days 20% harder, they could overall have a lot less hard. It's just going to be harder up front, and they're going to have a much better life later. And I know that's a basic thing, but it's just so true. And it's like, you have to, sometimes you just got to do the stuff that sucks in front of you for a little bit to prevent the entire rest of your life sucking in the financial sense, right? Like, talking about business here. So I think that's something it's really hard for a lot of people to do. So if you're sitting here and you're like, man, like, why is my business not growing? My guess is you're not putting in enough work today because there's pain involved with that work. And you just got to do it. Like, that's all it comes down to. It's less painful overall. If you actually like look at the time frame of life, it is less painful if you choose your pain now. There's a quote I like too. It's like, you choose your pain now, and then you get the pain out of the way, right? And if you don't choose your pain, it chooses you when and how it decides. And it's usually later in life. You don't have money. There's stuff going on. You never built that business. You have regret. You have financial issues. Not saying starting a business fixes that, right? There's challenges, but it's just a big thing that, eat the frog, as said in the comments here. I think that was Cassie said that. So totally agree. Like, you got to do the work.
There's tons of excuses that you could make, but the people that I've seen that have grown the most are the ones who are like, all right, there's photographers in my area. All right, cool. I'll be the fifth.
I'm
50th,
best friends
whatever.
with my competition. Like, I literally, so the other day, my photographers had been with me for about a month and a half. I told them, I was like, okay, I want everyone to like meet everyone. So I booked a bay at Top Golf, and there was like 10 of us. One of the guys that came he has his own company, and like, we have a community folder of amenities. This is when I was solo, like, and he was solo. We were just adding our amenity folders together so that, like, hey, do you have this? Yeah, I've got this. Because he's more on like the north end of the beach. I'm more on like the south end. So there's so many communities too and resorts. It's like impossible. It just saves us time. Yeah. So I help him. He helps me. One of my thankful things that I've experienced with Kenny, there was a part where I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I need to like evolve my business with his and like bring him on, and we can combine our clients. No, do not do that. Do not build the business yourself. And like, that's
a good save.
I get it that I don't have a lot of experience with the Instagram method, but I will tell you right now, I started the Instagram method 3-4 days ago. I've already got 3 yeses. I've got 0 no's. Now, the video that I sent them along with the message, I was recording that video. It turned dark. I was literally videoing it for 3 hours because I wanted it to be
good,
me, but like, if you have this is your business. You're going to deliver what you want to deliver. If you're going to deliver half crap stuff, that's on you. You know, this is your first initial contact with people that you're not working with. One girl said, I can't hear the video, but I could tell from your video that you mean business. Send me over your pricing. I have a listing in August. And I said, I know it's on her because like my other people can hear it, but I said, oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing. But yes, sure thing. What's your email?
So dude, that's like, awesome. That's what people don't see. It's like, you see the successful people, you don't see them putting in the work. Like, you did that. There's no one I know that hasn't. Like, Kenny, when he first started working with me, he did the craziest stuff, first of all, to get that opportunity. And then he built a business, him and I together, video editing. He literally would, like, I don't know how he did it. He would be up almost not sleeping all night, freaking editing the videos himself to build that business. And now he has, we built a great business with that. He's built a great business with that. So it's like, there's nobody that I've talked to that has done anything that didn't do that stuff. That, like, no one saw the 3 hours you spent, Tyler, doing that. No one saw the time that Kenny, he moved, it's a long story short, but he moved to Texas to initially work with us. And then I moved to Florida and he moved to Florida, and he didn't have a house. So he stayed in a freaking extended stay a couple years ago. So he's in this like shite hotel editing videos all night to build that business. And now he makes a lot of money from the great business he built. So it's like, there's nobody, I like what you said, Cassie, there's nobody that gets around eating the frog. Like, you got to do the freaking hard work at the start. And that's what pays you in the future. And that's just a good example of it, Tyler. Like, no one will ever see that time that you spent trying to make that good because it's your business. You care about it. You know that the effort you put in is rewarded. And that's why I've seen people send like 500 DMs and not get very many results because they just like lazy did it. It's like, you send 500 crappy DMs, it's not going to help you. And so Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I forget where I was going with that, but do the work, eat the frog.
Yeah, don't wait. Like I've had a website that literally says under construction for like probably 8 months now. It's like people are like, what do I need to start like a website. I need to do all this. No, you don't.
No,
no, you don't.
You need to make some
Pick
money.
your delivery platform. I use Spiro. Like people ask me all the time, like what photo delivery do you use? I use Spiro. I started with Aereo. Like Jared said, he likes something that fluctuates with the business. And just do it. Like when they say,
you don't overthink it. That's the thing. You're not just like, oh, should I do this or this for ages? You know? Okay, let's do this. So we're 30 minutes in. There's 62 people here, and I'm sure you guys have questions. So if you have a question for Tyler or Kenny and I, just drop it in the chat, and we'll do some Q&A. Tyler, you good to hang out for like 30 more minutes of Q&A?
Listen, I'm all ears.
Perfect. Well, ask your questions. We'll start with CY Photography's what's the Instagram method? So Kenny, can you like briefly go over the process, and then we'll go from there?
Instagram method, you create an awesome professional profile that basically highlights you and your work. After that, you find agents in your area, you engage with the profile, and then you send them a DM offering a free shoot. That's like a super quick overview.
Cold outbound. It's reaching out to people. It's so interesting. I filmed a video out here earlier. It'll post on YouTube eventually, but I was like talking about what makes people successful in this business, and it's directly proportional to the amount of people that you talk to. Directly proportional. Now, you can increase your success by having a higher conversion rate if you do it better, but like it's better to have a 1% conversion rate and reach out to 1,000 people or 2,000 people than it is to have a 100% conversion rate, reach out to one. So it's like, it is just truly a numbers game, and that's what the Instagram method helps you do. Jaden, yes, absolutely send an Instagram or send a video.
So like, this is just a quick, like what mine is, just so you guys know. And there was, I can't remember his name, and I'm so sorry because he's on this chat. I saw him say something at the beginning, but like he reached out to me and he's like, I'm like, what do I need to do? I'm sending messages. I'm not getting feedback. I'm not going to call him out, but he had one photo on his thing. And I told him, I was like, listen, you got to post more. You can, like, I don't even know what you do. So that's step one. Make sure you've got the posts on there that, some work that you're doing. And he said that he's going to go shoot something up and that he was going to post it and stuff. So that's, step one. And then use them. I use emojis. I'm very expressionate. I'm like, I got emojis on on lock. But I mean, I basically said, hey, Jack. And then I said, what I was offering him. And then I said, I realize you might have a photographer and that's great. I said, but if I interest you, please reply and I will send over that information.
Yeah.
And like I said, I got 3 replies in 3-4 days. So
that's crazy. Kenny, can you pull up just on your phone that demo profiles? Like one of the things that is a requirement if we're going to help someone do the Instagram method is they have to have at least 9 posts on their account because that fills out your grid. And of those 9 posts, at least like 4 of them need to be pictures of you. It can be like a selfie of you introducing yourself. You have someone take photos of you shooting your own house, like some behind the scenes photos, like putting the work to show people who you are. We talk about with the Instagram method and with creating an Instagram account for your company, that's like your salesperson for your business, your 24/7 virtual salesperson, right? So when you send a DM, like when Tyler sends that message, he sends a really good DM. There's a video in there. That's awesome. But one of the first things those clients are going to do is they're going to click on his Instagram and they're going to go check him out, make sure he's real. If you have one photo and it's of a house, you're never going to get any traction with your Instagram method stuff. So when it comes to setting up the profile, we've done 3 live Instagram profile critiques that show you how to do that. Go to the lives tab here on my YouTube and you'll see those and you can watch them. Tyler, you were on the last one when we did the critique, I think.
Yes, I was.
So you got more of Tyler over there. Also, Rod on my team just joined. So glad to have you in here, Rod.
Thank you.
All right. Let's
what I miss. I feel like I missed so much.
You did.
You missed my life story.
Just say it again real quick for everybody.
No.
From 0 to 30K in a year and a half. That's the life story.
That's crazy.
The whole life.
It's just, I don't know. It's pretty crazy to see what people do here. I've been around like business coaching, multiple industries, and I don't know. It's just pretty wild to see what actually people are doing here. Coaching or not, it's like an incredible industry. So
it is. Okay, Gene said, what tasks does a VA do for you? I imagine they do Instagram method. What else? I don't think Tyler's having to do the Instagram method yet, but Tyler, what does your VA Joseph do for you?
Instagram method?
Okay, he does. He does.
I got, Instagram method. I anytime I get, this is the one thing that I'm switching to that I wish I would have done, back to that question, was get open phone if you plan to scale. I have a separate phone, and it was great whenever it was just me because my bubbles are blue. But now I'm screenshotting, working off of 2 separate phones. So basically what he's asking, I screenshot something, I'll send it to my VA via Facebook Messenger. He sends me a screenshot back letting me know that it's done. I have never used voice memos so much in my life now, but anytime I need something done, I'm like,
you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and like I gave my VA probably 3 months of like limited access, and then one of the things that, as a coach, they're going to ask you, what are bottlenecks in your business? What are you spending time doing that you can delegate work to someone else? I'm like, scheduling, giving discounts, adding, changing services. Yeah. So right then and there, I'm like, okay, super admin. There you go, Joseph. Because I don't know like what I've got to unlock. And like I could schedule something with Todd and figure that out, but I'm the kind like, if he wants to delete my business, I'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
But I just gave him full access. I trust him. And I just gave my second VA full access. So now both of them, listen, I have them. I asked my VA, kind of like Eli tells you to like find a friend. And then if that friend knows someone, hopefully they're going to refer someone that they think is going to be beneficial to the business. Well, I asked my VA, I was like, do you know anyone? And he's like, yeah, my neighbor 15 minutes down the road, Jim. And there's been times where, hey, Tyler, Jim's Wi-Fi is out. He's coming over to use my thing or something like that. And it's so great because I just tell them if I want something done in the morning and in the evening, I say, Zoom with each other. Figure it out. So then Joseph taught Jim how to use Spiro, and now they both are very...
That's so awesome.
I gave Scott... I shared Jim with Scott. Yes. He does everything. I literally pick up a camera and upload. He messages with honestly, he probably does too much. If I was going to scale any more, I'm going to need to take some off of his plate and either move him into more of a VA admin role or something, because like he does full contact with my editor. He does everything, like literally everything.
I mean, that's what scaling is, right? So for everybody that's asking what a VA is a virtual assistant. Typically, the VA industry, the virtual assistant industry, is very large in the Philippines. And so when most people say a VA, it's usually someone who lives in the Philippines that works remotely for you virtually, right? So any task that doesn't require them physically to be there is what people use VAs for. And VAs are awesome. It's just like hiring somebody for your team, though. You have to pick the right one. You have to train them well. You have to manage properly. As far as there's a lot of questions about cost for a VA, it depends. Generally, $1,000 a month to $1,500 a month is kind of the area. You'll find some cheaper. You'll find some more. But that's a pretty good range. You have to remember that the cost of living is extremely different in the Philippines. And so $1,500 a month is a pretty significant income. It's much higher than the national average there. So because of that, usually if you can't afford the type of talent that you want in the US because the cost of living is just so high that they have to be paid more, you can find really great talent in the Philippines. And we live in a world with the internet. So you can, it's a global world. You can use and have people on your team that are not just in the US. So yeah, VAs, that's my endorsement for VAs.
And my thing, I want to tell people right now, they are people, and I literally could not do it without them, and I let them know that. Like, I when I met Joseph, I was constantly asking him, I'm like, what do you need from me? What can I do differently? Where are you struggling? Where can I help? And even like now, I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago, I sent a long text and I was like, thank you so much for everything you have done.
Yeah.
What are we having issues with? And this is before I switch editors. He's like, Tyler, honestly, like I'm really struggling with the editor. They're not doing what they need to do. And so we talked to the editor. They said they would fix it. They didn't fix it. We gave them tries, talked to Kenny about it, and we switched editors. And he's very happy with who we're working with now. So, their opinions matter. They play a
100%.
50%, yeah, probably more than 50% role in my business. They do the invoicing, they do so much. I can't talk about it. And the amount of time that it takes.
Started that with people just think of they say VA, so they think of it's like some software. It is literally a regular person who happens to live in the Philippines, and everything else applies. You have to manage well, you have to treat them well, you have to pay well, you have to do all this stuff. And if you do that, you can build a great team, a remote team. So people asking how you find VAs, there's a website called onlinejobs.ph. I'll put it in the chat here. That's the primary one where you can, it's kind of like Indeed, but specifically for VAs, and it's onlinejobs.ph, like Philippines. So great place to find VAs. We have great VAs on our team in all parts of our business, right? They handle, accounts receivable and payable. They answer emails. They, Aaron's assistant, executive assistant, Naomi, is awesome. She lives in the Philippines. Like, I hate to even use the word VA. They're just literally a remote team.
I literally address my people by their name every single time. I start every Zoom call with, how are you? What did you do today? How's the weather? How's your family? Like, Joseph's got 2 kids, a wife. Jim, he's got kids. Like, I talk to them as if they are a regular employee. So.
Yeah, they are. It's just people mess it up with that, which I think is, first of all, kind of rude when people don't treat them well. But second of all,
for sure.
Like, it's not how you run a team. Okay, what other questions does everybody have?
Here's a good one.
Please,
really good one.
Pin it.
It's for Tyler specifically, because Austin says, do you have any tips during the free shoot to help ensure they will work with you again?
Yes. Okay. First off, you walk in, you say, how are you? And then you figure out, how long have you been in the area? How long have you been? And now if you're like me, you can only talk so much before you start forgetting to shoot specific rooms, because that's happened to me. Like, I'm a talker, and I forgot rooms before. And you just go back and you apologize head to toe, and you fix it. But you learn from that. So yes, free tips, or tips on free shoots. For one, you follow up with them when you deliver. Now, this was before I switched to Spiro. I didn't do the Loom thing, and I'm starting to implement the Loom thing. And if you don't know what we're talking about, basically, you walk them through their first shoot with you on how to deliver the products. If you have Spiro, you walk them through the social media stuff on how, like, the templates, what a web res is, what a print quality is. In my area, we're limited to 40 MLS photos. A lot of new agents, which is who I work with, that's who I gear my... that's my clientele, because I started pretty recently. Like, some of them don't even know that you can only put 40 photos in, and they're like, Tyler, it's not working. And I'm like, did you do 40? Like, I over deliver always on your first shoot, and even still to this day, I over deliver. I do not care. I even told Joseph, I was like, hey, like, make sure we're not sending this X amount, and he'll still message me. He's like, Tyler, you took this amount, and I was like, just deliver it. Like, they're good people, they're good clients. All my clients are VIP clients, and when you treat them like that, they're going to stick with you. They're going to change photographers, or they're going to make you their main photographer. And if you want to, I don't upsell to make more money. I upsell to provide them value for their services. And I think this was a big thing that me and Kenny shared for a while, whenever I was like getting all these new clients, and I was still making a crap ton of money because I was able to upsell at 50% off. Like, they got the 25 free photos, and
so you were offering a base shoot for free, and then you were like, by the way, anything else you can get.
It's your first shoot. Like, you might as well get a video. You might as well, do a 3D tour. And sometimes I would even walk in and they have already done multiple shoots with me. Of course, like, they're your VIP clients. Test some things out.
Yep.
I did a 3D tour with this one on Zillow, and now they get it every single time. So I rack in $100 in 15 minutes every single time.
That is an underutilized thing. So it's something we try to talk about as much as we can. But if you get people using more of your services, whether you have to give it for free, give them a discount, whatever, they will more than likely do that again in the future, which gives you higher average order value. I was talking yesterday, I don't know if it was it was the launch group coaching call. I was like, the worst feeling is when, 3 years into working with a client, they're like, do you shoot video? And then you're like, yeah. And they're like, oh, I've been hiring another videographer for 3 years. And I wish I would have known that you did that. And you're like, I told you like 10 times, like, I sent emails. People do not know your services as well as you do. And so the thing that Tyler did that like set him up so well for the future is he exposed his clients. They don't forget if you offer video if they ordered one before, because they've seen it, they've used it. And so that's a huge, can you guys hear the screaming in the background, by the way? Is that loud? I'm not even kidding. There's wild parrots in Miami, And across the like water here, there's a tree with a parrot, and it hears noises in the environment, and then it makes those noises like over and over. Anyway, what Tyler said there is like so important. Like exposing your clients to your products is so good. That happens so much with Matterport, with everything.
Yes, and like sometimes like one of my best clients, like she switched from our #1 photographer in our area to me just because they didn't do what she wanted. Like she just wanted a little bit more detail, and I offered that right off the bat. But she sent me to go do, she's like, I'm so sorry, like, I'm sorry this is not worth your time. It was a drone only, $95. I didn't care. I delivered that drone photos, and I delivered them a drone video of that entire community. And what did they do? Oh my gosh, Tyler, I didn't even think about that. Can you go do XYZ community? And right then and there was like 7 more bookings on my schedule that were video, which is obviously way more profitable and easier than photos. And I was literally on a coaching call with Kenny doing that free shoot right there that day.
Dude,
and
because of that,
good. Yes.
100%. We had one where we did a community shoot for an agent, exact same story. It's one of our bigger clients now, actually. And it was a small community in Granbury, the place where we started. He immediately called me after I delivered that and paid me $5,000 to go out and shoot a bunch of other community photos. It took me less than a day. I literally batched them all out and just did it. And it was $5,000. It's like, you never know. I think the thing that it's really important to keep in mind is when you're first starting, what you're really looking for is opportunity. And you get opportunity by putting yourself out there and giving stuff to people, showing, like, you have to create it, right? By being resourceful. You show them these things. So I love that you said that, because that happens. That's not like what Tyler's saying, what everybody we have on here that's built a business is not like this, oh, they got lucky one time thing. It was like they just did enough of the stuff to like be ready to get those opportunities. So
I don't have a structure.
There's no structure with me. Like,
yeah. The agent was like, it's not worth your time. And a lot of people say that, like, it's not usually the agent, it's the photographer saying it's not worth my time to go out there and shoot just photos. Tyler went out there, and instead of just shooting photos, he also added video. And it's something that we talked about, Eli. It's like, what will make the client happy?
Yeah.
And so Tyler knew that, and he used that to his advantage.
Yeah, literally, like one of our company values is we love our clients. And if you act like that, you make so much money and you have so many happy clients. And I don't know about you, but like, if you made a lot of money and all your clients were mad, that's a horrible business. And if you don't make a lot of money and all of your clients are happy, that's not a good business either. So it's like the happy thing like makes everybody work with you longer, makes them refer you, it makes them continue to book you shoot after shoot, makes your life enjoyable. And it's like a very simple formula. And I hope that's what everybody listening sees when I bring people on like Tyler who are just crushing it. It's like they just go out of their way to serve their clients well and develop good relationships. And it's the money follows. Like, you don't hunt the money first. Like, you hunt the stuff that's going to create the money. That being said, what other questions do you guys have? All right.
My VA just started. He just texted me.
So that means you have it's like a good time of day when your team starts, you know?
Yeah.
Safety going forward. Okay, let's see. Do you do any like kickbacks for your clients if they refer you, Tyler, or do you just thank them?
Oh yeah, listen. I was doing $50 referral credits. Obviously, the initial client gets the free shoot, and that client would get $50. But I just kind of changed some things in my business, and I bumped it up to $75. So if you refer me, you get $75, and they're eating it up. They are eating it up. And I tell that that's another thing. If you're working with someone for the first time, for one, you're going to go in there, whether you know what you're doing or not, you're going to act like you do. And you're going to say, oh, and by the way, like, just so you know, obviously this shoot's free, but if you refer me, you get $75 off future listings. So there's opportunity. And I know, like, you're not really supposed to bribe people, but I'm telling people now, like, if you give me a Facebook review, $25. If you give me a Google review, $25. And what do? I tell Joseph, I say, hey, check these reviews. If so-and-so gives it, make sure you credit them $25. So, like, that's a task for me, but I'm delegating it, buying back my time. Obviously, when you just got to start. You got to let the ball rolling. And as the ball's rolling, you're going to figure out, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And keep the energy. I was down in July, and I'm back up.
Yeah.
So we're good.
So I guess question for you, Rod. You obviously talk with a lot of people that we work with in coaching. what do you see like? I guess what do you see for people that aren't having the success like Tyler is, that are kind of doing it themselves? Like, is there a common trend? I mean, is it they're indecisive? Is it they're worried about competition? Or what are some of the things you hear a lot that you think stopping people?
How do I answer this? Things they're so sure are stopping them is never what's actually stopping them. If I can answer it that way, that's exactly it. Like I'm like looking at their business, I'm looking at their numbers, and they're telling me certain things. Like I live in a certain area, and I'm looking at the area, and I'm like, oh, I know this area is crushing that. You know people that crush it in the area, and then they're also telling me, well, the area is really bad. That's why I haven't been able to scale. The area is really bad. I'm like, oh, I know people. I had one person really worried about Knoxville, where Mike's business is in Knoxville. So it's like, I don't know, it's a pretty good area. But they were so convinced the area was not good, and that's why they weren't doing well. So I think we're so good at convincing ourselves that something is the problem in the business. And if we just do this, everything will be solved. But it's 100 golden BBs, like you say, Eli. It's hundreds of little things that together collectively make this work well to where you're at, competitive level as good as the ones around you. If not, the goal is to be better. So it's like, I would say it's
easy to let stuff. It's easy to there's a phrase around that, but it's like the easiest person to deceive is yourself. And I know just from like my story building my business, I mean, the reason I grew slow is because I deceived myself in about 1,000 different ways. I would think a number that was huge or that was tiny was huge. I'd be like, wow, like you're really, like I'd convince myself you're really killing it, Eli. And it's like, no. Like I was making $3,000 a month, and I thought that was a lot. I thought that was a ton in the business, and I thought that I had to learn everything myself was another way I deceived myself. I thought for the longest time that it was impossible to train somebody to do what I did, which is so funny because it's like, it wasn't coming from a place of arrogance. I just was like, it's going to be impossible. I'm like, wait a second. If I'm saying I'm the only one that can do this, isn't that indirectly saying something about myself of like, I'm so good, I'm the only one that can do this? It's like when I started thinking of it that way, I was like, wait a second. Like I have this thing now where, whenever someone's struggling with believing they can train somebody, I'm like, well, if they can train a neurosurgeon, I promise you can train a photographer. Like I just guarantee you can. And so that is so true. I love what you said on that. All right. What other questions does everybody have in here? We got about 5 minutes left with Mr. Tyler. So let's see. I'll just answer this one really quickly. It depends on your state, but a good starting place is either State Farm or Hiscox. Those are both good insurers. Let's see.
I don't know if it's an option, but I have, what is it, PPE or?
Yeah, there's a photographer insurance too.
I just got it because my friend was like, this is what I have, and it covers up to X amount.
Just any insurance that's decent price is good, honestly. All right, let's see. Fernando, that doesn't really matter in this industry. It's not really what we're doing, so wouldn't worry about that too much. Same thing with you, Jaden. Like, I wouldn't really recommend growing on Instagram. Like, I would try to find your ideal clients and reach out to them. So I guess that is growing, but it's like followers is irrelevant. You know what I mean? In this business, you just need to use your Instagram as a tool to reach out to people. You're not waiting for people to follow you. They will follow you, but like, that's not the goal. All right, let's see. There was a question I wanted to hit here. Gene said, I've heard you guys say photos sell the house and video sells the agent. How exactly does video sell the agent? So yeah, what we mean by that, Gene, is like, if you go to Zillow and you look at houses for sale, you're not seeing the video, right? You're just seeing the houses. Like you see a house you like, you call the agent, you get a listing. The video usually has the agent in there, and it's a tool they can use to promote themselves on social media. So it's kind of like an asset that they can use to grow their business. Sure, it'll sell the house occasionally, but like most of the time, the agents know that they're ordering that video for their brand, to make their brand look better.
And I will say, don't be afraid to tell them to do it over. Like, they're just as scared to get in front of the camera as anyone who is not getting in front of the camera. I have been pushing myself to get in front of the camera for probably the last month, and it has gotten to the point where I'm able to do it now in like the first or second try. You just gotta, and that's what, like, one of my best clients, he literally told me, he's like, I went home and told my mom, because she's also like my best client. He was like, I just told her, I said, you are, my first time working with you, I was uptight, but you're just so easy to work with, and like, you make sure I don't look stupid on camera. Obviously, if they look stupid when you video it, you're not going to want to deliver them a video where they look stupid. So retake the video.
It's in your best interest to fix that. Yeah. Jay said, how do you identify agents on Instagram? So Jay, if you go to Instagram, you go to the search. Let me pull it up so I can make sure I'm doing it right. You go to search, and in search, you're going to put like hashtag your city homes. So like hashtag Dallas homes, and that's going to give you a hashtag. I'll pull it up here. Hold on. You're going to go to accounts. Let's see, tags. Sorry, let me click on this. So you can see in here, there's 275 posts under Dallas homes, 275,000 posts. And most of these are going to be realtors. You could do Dallas realtor, Dallas whatever. So like, that's a good place to start. All right. Tyler, question for you from Casper. What did you change after joining coaching? Because like you started with our course that we used to offer, and then you got in coaching. I think a lot of it was you had momentum and your business blew up. So like, I want to take that off the table. It wasn't just coaching, but like, what about coaching, do you think was helpful for you?
Coaching it's way more than just someone telling you like the next step. But I will say, if I had a question about anything I'm trying to even think, Kenny, as my coach, gave me the answer straight up. He would give you the form or tell you what you needed to do or tell you the experience of what someone else did. And if he didn't know it, he would ask another coach. We're all a team here. We're going to work together. I've provided other people VAs that needed it.
So VA was a big change, I guess.
Yeah.
Obviously that was a big one. What are some other or was it just a lot of little do this, don't hit that boulder, was there any other big stuff?
I mean, obviously, people are going to have questions left and right about what they should do for their business, and Kenny was the person that I would ask that to. But also, coaching offers so many videos throughout the day that you can join LiveWise, and if you want to get an in-person question or answer from another coach, join it. Reserve your spot. You are able to talk to someone at least Monday through Friday, if you need to. So that was always something very beneficial and something that,
Okay, that's something that I think a lot of people who are successful do, and people that aren't, that are in coaching don't. We have people who join and they don't go to any group calls. I'm like, you have 6 months in coaching to work with us? Squeeze that sponge. I mean, it's like, Colleen does a group call. She's awesome. She's built I don't know how big at this point.
I love Colleen.
She's amazing, right? Colleen's there. Sophie does a group call. Anthony does a group call. All these awesome people. And I think what I'm trying to sum up is you took stuff and actually put it into place. You took the opportunity in front of you. Whereas some people, and in coaching or not, doesn't really matter. People will want to start a real estate media business, but then not binge watch all the videos they can possibly find that are, if they want to do the free route, right? You have to be willing to soak it up like a sponge at the start.
And that's the thing, I'm willing to help someone, but why not do something that's going to boost? I made back what I spent on coaching within 30 days. That, I don't care.
Yeah.
The resources and the tools were at your fingertips. It was as hard. It was me that decided how quickly did I want to grow.
Yes.
And every time I needed something, I was like, okay, Kenny, I'm done. What's the next step? And he was like, okay, this is what you got to do.
That's
and I was
true.
okay, this is going to take me X amount of time.
That's very true. Yeah, Tyler was like, I'm done. What's next? He wasn't just all right, I'm
when can we schedule our next call?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. You mentioned that he was soak up all the information, but also do something about it. A lot of people I've seen in the comments weeks ago, maybe we'll see it today too. Is I'm motivated, yes, and it's okay, do something about it. Maybe it's joining coaching, maybe it's not, but start your business, take action, do something about it.
It's the only thing that actually creates results, right? I think a lot of people want to plan. I understand it. They want to get everything perfect and then go. That's not how it works. No one's built a business doing that. That's just not. That's the MBA approach where you plan everything out. And MBAs are notoriously not great at building businesses. They might be good in an existing operation, but that's kind of why, right? Because the planning. It's funny. So I hear people. I understand if you're raising money and you get investors to different business, but I hear people starting service businesses, whether it's real estate photography, lawn mowing, whatever, and they write out this long business plan of the first month's gonna look like this, and I'm gonna do this and this, and then the next month, I'm dude, in the second hour that business plan is invalid. completely invalid. Like it's something changed. Like what if it doesn't go that way? You have to be willing to pivot and do stuff differently. And so I think the business plan attitude really hurts a lot of people. You have to be willing. You said this like many times in many different ways, Tyler. Like you would just try stuff, right? Like you weren't like, oh, I'm going to learn photos, videos, 3D tours and all this stuff. And I'm going to perfect it. I'm going to do 10 practice. You were just like, I'm going to put it on my website. And if someone orders it, I'll figure it out. And you did, right? And so it's a hard thing to like, if someone is a planner, you have to like, you're always, anybody starting a business, you're going to have advantages and disadvantages, right? So like Tyler, advantage, he really knows how to be personable, right? I don't know what his disadvantages were, but we all have them, right? I had advantages and disadvantages. There was like things that I was very introverted. That was a disadvantage for me. My advantage was that I was really hungry to make this business work. And so I did what I had to. And so it's like, you got to weigh those. Everybody has different ones, but you're never going to like build a business by just sitting there trying to like fix those things or like plan something better. You just got to get in and start doing it, And there's a quote about courage. I think courage is not the absence of fear. It's doing the thing in spite of the fear. And I think I'm sure there's times where Tyler was like, I'm just going to make a guess. And Tyler, you tell me if this is accurate. There was at least one time where no one was around you. You were by yourself and you were like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Right? Like, is that true? Like
listen, all the time. You know what I do? I put on some banging music that gets me motivated. I figure out and I make it work. Like I was looking at today, I was trying to figure out some things on my calendar. I've got so many real estate events. I'm a part of the Women's Council. I'm a part of the YPN. I'm a part of my local CCAR affiliate. And all these places, they're like, what do you need from us? And I was like, just sponsorship, just, a minute to speak. I mean, I had a broker the other day. This one I love. I've been trying to get in with this brokerage forever. It's Remax, and I shot one listing for him a long time ago for someone else that couldn't be there. And they asked me if I would do that listing for them. And I won't talk about that because I taught that girl everything she knew. But anyways, here we are a year later. He's like, Tyler, I just need 10 photos of my personal condo. He's like, what are you going to charge me? And I was like, $50 and a brokerage presentation, and you got yourself a deal. And he said, deal. And there we go. I've got a brokerage presentation at one of our largest brokerages in the area. And like, I would see him at these events. There was probably like 3 separate occasions where I was at a real estate event, and I would try to like ease in about a brokerage presentation, and he would just talk about it really quick, but then shove it off his shoulders and then continue on a conversation about something else. And I'm not the kind of person that's going to like
follow it up. Yeah.
I read the room. And so that's what I was reading the room. But then I was like, okay, this is my time. It was a yes or no. And he said, yeah. So it worked.
Dude, that's amazing. You shot your shot for sure. And I think a lot of people are scared to do that. That's awesome. Is that presentation's already happened or it's coming up?
No, it's coming up. I've got 3 booked. I was like, it was a low month in July, but it was good because like I was also training and taking them with me all the time. And it was a low month because I was also paying to train them. So like I felt like a low month in my business, which is fine. Like that's growth in the long run.
Yes.
And Kenny was like, okay, you need to like start the brokerage calls. I went home that day, called 12 brokerages and texted agents that I was like really good friends with. I'm like, please get me in. And they're like, what day? We have a sales meeting on this day. Is this good? I said, yes, book it. What do you want? Chick-fil-A or this? And you just ask them. Don't be afraid. Like literally just do it.
Yes.
Like, 100%. So I've got 3 booked in August.
100%. I hope everybody listening gets fired up. It makes me want to go book some brokerage presentations when I listen to Tyler. That's awesome.
I've got like a spreadsheet, and that's where the VAs come in. I'm like, okay, go look up all the brokerages in my area and put the phone numbers there. So when I get home after shooting all day, I'm going to go home and I'm going to call. And if you don't know, number 9 on your phone, if you leave a voicemail and you mess up, click 9. You can re-record. There was one voicemail though that I couldn't re-record, and I let it it was literally waiting for 5 minutes, but I didn't know what to say.
Yeah, I thought if you leave it long enough, it resets. That's funny. Number 9's a good thing though.
Something messed up though on that one, and I literally was like, hey Troy, this is Tyler. I run Western Media, local to the area. I would love to come in and offer you guys a brokerage presentation, but I messed up somewhere in there. And I literally said, crap. I messed up, literally on the voicemail. So I was like 99999, and it wasn't working. So
dude, that's probably the best voicemail he's ever got.
I texted it No, I texted an agent and the thing, and I was like, "Hey, can you ask your broker if I can do a brokerage presentation?" And he
Dude,
said, "Yeah." So
I hope he heard that voicemail. I would book you if that happened. If some vendor called me and said, and then freaking hit 9 a bunch. Oh my gosh. That's
I
amazing.
know it was.
Okay, here's a good one. How do you handle the fear of that? I'm sure you were scared, Tyler, of like the agent. The agents can be kind of intimidating. Not really, but they're like, they want good photos. Did you have that? And like, how did you approach it?
Oh, listen. Once you, I'm not even gonna. There's so many rude agents out there. Two of them right off the back. I'll try to be really quick. So one of them, he was like, "Oh, I referred you business. You're gonna give me free drone photos, right? Okay, just because you gave me 2 clients, like, and this was when I first got started, so I didn't really have a referral thing, and I was already over delivering. Like, you don't have to put up with that. That's gonna hinder you in the long run. So don't even mess with that in the short run. I mean, if you need it, like, fine, but." He killed my vibe, and I don't like to work with people that kill my vibe.
It's a real thing. You don't want that motivation, that mentality going down. Yeah.
Yeah, and he literally called me the other day, and it's been a year since I worked with him, and I didn't answer it on purpose, but I texted him, and I said, "Hey, I saw you called. How can I help you?" And he said, "Oh, you missed out. I had to go with someone else." I'm like, "Dude, I literally texted you back within 10 minutes." And so, like, that's not someone you want to work with. Like, I walk in, I'm like, "Hey, how you been? How's your kids?
Yeah.
How's your husband?" Or like anything like that. And the other one really quick. So when I started, obviously we start our prices pretty low, or I did at least. And this guy was like, "Hey, my photographer did Matterport 40 photos and a floor plan for $250. Can you do that?" And my first initial reaction was yes. He was literally one of my first clients.
Yep.
A year into it, I literally texted him one day because I hated doing stuff for him. None of his listings were ever ready. They just got worse and worse and worse. And I was like, "Listen, I have to go up on pricing. This is what it's going to be. I'm still going to give you a discount, but this is what your new thing's going to be." And he said, "I thought this day was coming sooner or later." And he still used me for a couple more, but he honestly, his listings weren't.
Dude, that's how it is though. Like, you start at the start, you'll take any business, right? But then as your business gets busier, that's like part of scaling, is being like, okay, now I get to pick which business I want. That's not the business I want, So, dude, that's like perfectly executed though, because I think a lot of people, you didn't make this mistake. What a lot of people do is they're like, that's not going to work for me in the future, therefore I'm not going to do it now. And it's like, that is not the right attitude, because you need the opportunity. Like you said, he referred you. You're going to make it work when you need it, and then when you don't, you ditch it. A lot of people. One of the common ones, like, are you willing to prep a house a little bit, Tyler? Like, do you do some tightening up?
Oh, 100%. Like, I know you're not supposed to do it like start to finish, but I do. I did from the start.
No, I think.
And you learn though. And as like in coaching, I got Spiro, and Todd hosts a call. And if you have any questions, I got my getting ready guide set up. And so now my business went from being me to, like I said, the ball rolling to where everything starts to become automated. Agents are booking their shoot. When they book it, if they put the homeowner in, they get a getting ready guide. The resources are there. Whether you use it is up to you. And I utilize it. I spend, my time is very valuable to me. It's how you value your time. And my average order value, it averages, but I think it's like right around, it sticks between $350 to $397 sometimes. Nice. So, I mean, good. It's there. Super and that's healthy. With, I just started taking away the free shoots.
Oh, shoot. So that's factoring in the freeze.
Oh,
that's
100%. Listen, like I said, I don't upsell to upsell. I upsell to bring value to the clients, and they realize that. I've said this to Kenny in the past. I'm like, I have clients that literally say, "I don't care. Do what you think." Like, they want me on the site. Like, "Tyler, I don't know what to click. This is what I click, but you just do what you think." Like, they want me to have a button on there that says, like, it's called, we called it Gambler's Choice. I learned that in Vegas. But so basically, like, they just want me to show up and take what the house needs and deliver it. And they trust you.
That's cool. That's a good idea. Dang. All right. Well, that was awesome. Tyler, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Of course.
Listen, and I tell everyone, like,
the energy, dude. I'm excited. My day's ending. I'm ready to get going again. I hope everybody else feels like that. Oh, well, anyway, I think
it's evident that if you're listening and you want to start a real estate photography business, you should definitely check out coaching. Rod leads our enrollment team. You'll talk to him or one of our awesome team members. They can walk you through what it would look like for you. Coaching is different depending on where you are in your business. So check it out. We're a friendly group, as you can tell. We like working with people. It's not like a high pressure, you got to join or you're an idiot. That's not how we run our business. And I just don't think that's a good way to run a business. So yeah, we'd love to talk with you about your market. We'll dive in and see, make sure there's a population. If you live in an area where there's 40 people, like we can't help you. And it's not because we don't want to, it's because we don't want to waste your money. Like our job is to help you build a business. And so that's what we're going to look into. We're going to talk with you about your goals. It's called the game plan call. So it's replaunch.com/apply, popped up there. Other than that, I hope whether you decide to do coaching or not, I hope Tyler being on here inspired you to just do something, because that's definitely his secret, right? His secret is that he just got work done. And so, yeah, did you agree with that, Kenny? Is that a good summary of Tyler's secret?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Tyler, thanks for being here. Rod and Kenny, to you as well, guys. And for everybody watching, thanks so much for spending your Thursday with us. And we'll see you very soon. Thanks, everybody. You know what to do with that link. You know what to do.
Yes. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. That was like a big issue. All right, guys. Got you.
Bye, everybody.
Juan and Elva Banda are two people that are just finishing up our launch coaching program. And on this video, I get to share with you an interview I did with them earlier today, where they walked through what it's been like to grow their business over the last 6 months. They came in the first couple months doing $0 in revenue, and they've grown their business to over $4,000 per month in the last few months. So I'm really excited to have you see their thoughts on things they did right, things they did wrong, managing a business and growing a business as a couple, and a bunch more. And so we get to dive in with the first question for them, which I asked them earlier today. What got you into this business and how'd you get started?
Our son is the one who got us into this. He took a drone class in high school. Like he built a drone from scratch and he got all into it. And he was like, we've always done side gigs on the side. We have another business that he works with us. Our kids have always been working with us on whatever we're doing. He worked in the oil and gas industry. I was always at home doing my own thing, you know, making money on the side. But when he got into that class, he enjoyed it so much. And he's like, Mom, Dad, like he told Juan, go take the class. I've always been on YouTube, looking, searching, trying to learn. And I found you and I started following you and watching all your videos. And then I kept telling him, like, no, watch these videos, watch Eli and look what he says. We didn't even know. So we got a camera. We didn't even know how, settings and all that. We knew nothing about the. So we got the camera. We already had the drone, of course, started getting the tripod, everything. And we started shooting on our own. And it wasn't until after, because he ended up, like you said, quitting his job, because I was like, okay, we need to, if we're going to do this, let's go 100%, 100%. We have another small business that is steady and can keep us afloat, but we've literally bootstrapped it and trying to dedicate ourselves 100%. So it's working. So slowly but surely.
So what made you, I guess if you were already doing it, what made you jump into launch and get into coaching? And then not that, you guys did the work, and just for everybody listening, like coaching wasn't the thing that made these people successful. Like they put in the work, the coaching gave them the roadmap to follow, but the work is what it takes. So I guess what made you jump into coaching, and then we'll go what's happened over the last 6 months after that.
So we did this on our own, real estate photography, for about 6 to 8 months. And we didn't, and then slow season started. So then we were like, oh my gosh, like, is it us?
Crickets, it was
nothing, like zero. And so I, again, following you, and then I think I had missed a workshop or whatnot, and I told him, I said, come on, let's do this. He got in on it, we did it, but to us it was kind of like, because we're kind of doing this trial and error. Like, if we're gonna be serious about it, why not have some guidance? And I think honestly it's the best decision we've ever made, because the numbers are proof, even though we're not to where we can be self-sufficient off of what we're making, but it's still like, it's so much more, drastically more than what we were doing on our own. So the guidance, the coaching, you know, having someone there, you know, for any questions, you know, having someone review our work if we need to, it's just, it was just amazing. And it's not, you know, part of it, sometimes it's like, I you know, after starting the course, I'm like, okay, well, I kind of know all this, but you always have that self-doubt that you're not 100% certain that you are doing the right thing. So validation is a big thing with the program too. Like, you know, you have that support system. If you have a doubt, okay, you just ask your coach, ask the group, ask, you know, so that's been a big thing. So I think the guidance and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that's what I always wanted, was you know, just a step-by-step process. And so that's been very helpful for us.
Yeah, and I guess we talked about it before we went quote unquote live here, but the Instagram method, core of what we teach, for someone just getting started, do you have any advice around the Instagram method or anything you know, would have wanted to know going in? Anything on that front?
With the Instagram method, you just pretty much have to stay on it. You know, I go in there every day. I try to make at least 2 to 3 hours to try to take 2 to 3 hours out of my day just to stay on it, because you'll see the results. You see the results, but like I said, it takes work. They're not gonna know you if you're not out there just, you know, throwing your name out there. And like I said, some of these people must get tired of seeing our business name, because I mean, I'm just constantly emojis and you know, just anything I can do for them to kind of see what we're about and what we're offering, you know. But you have to stay on that Instagram method, and it really, really, really works. Like I said, it's worked for us. I don't do no cold calling. I don't do no Facebook, none of that. I mean, there's just so many agents out there. There's just so many agents out there. It's endless, and it's just a matter of just them seeing your name and what you got to offer. And I mean, if they get tired of you, they're gonna delete you, obviously. But I mean, nobody's deleted me.
Nobody's deleted us.
So I guess
it doesn't really happen.
You know, so I'm like, well, if they haven't deleted me, I guess they enjoy me, you know, emoji or doing whatever, you know, putting comments.
And I think they see it as you're being supportive of their page as well. Like, we get so many, they may not have a listing, or they may already have a photographer themselves, but because we are, you know, giving them hearts, or, you know, fire emojis, or saying congratulations, or saying good luck on your, you know, on your open house, they reply and say thank you so much for your support.
They do.
We even did, actually, a few days ago, we had an agent that he had been he contacted. We did the free shoot for her. We drove almost 2 hours for the free shoot, and she hasn't booked us. It's already been almost 3 months, and she hasn't booked us for a paid shoot, but she has referred 2 other agents that have already booked with us for paid. They didn't even ask for the free shoot. So but he's constantly, like, you know, commenting and sending emoji and being supportive on her page, because I think she does more leasing than it is.
I'm thinking sometimes, you know, once they post it, I just feel like once they post a new walkthrough, if they post a reel of a new home, I go in there and I'm like, you know, like a fire. So I'm like, man, they must feel like, man, this guy's just stalking us, you know, like, let me be. But I'm like, whatever. I mean, if you don't want me, you'll delete me, you know. But so they're gonna keep posting and putting comments, and, you know, not always good, always positive, you know, and it works. It works, you know.
She actually commented and said, hey guys, thank you so much for being supportive. I've referred and given your name and your contact info to my colleagues. Have you been contacted? And then we told her, yes, 2 of them have actually contacted us. Thank you so much. So I think she felt like we're kind of stalking her. I don't know. Maybe
I mean, she was willing to refer you, you know, that's the name. It's like the Instagram method is where you get the opportunities from. And then
It doesn't mean it's that person. It could be like someone else they refer, something else. The other thing too, just for everybody listening, I always like to do this. So I went into your Instagram method tracker and I just select the box at the top. And I know when someone's going to be successful because when I select it, it says you can only select up to 500 at one time, which means you guys have sent a whole lot of messages. And that's why you have the results that you have now, right? And I think a lot of people like, the Instagram method is not complicated, but it's not easy, right? Like it's simple, but it's not easy. And so I think the thing that you guys have as a trait that matches that of other successful people is that you just do the work. You consistently do the work. So I guess with that being said, you're somewhere around 4 to 5K a month right now. What do you want to see in the future? Like, what's the goal for the business? Do you want to scale and hire people, or like, where are you going with this?
We do. We want to scale. We want to hire people. We've even talked about. I mean, we were out of town in Mexico, a couple of days ago, and a buddy of ours, he knows a lot of people out there. We've even thought about scaling out in that way. Houses out near Mexico, even Austin. We have family in Austin, so we want to grow. Those, my son, he's involved a lot, so he's starting to learn the photography part of it. Which would be another body out there taking photos, but absolutely. I mean, that's our goal.
I think our goal is to be, a little, of course, financially stable, free, be well off and be able to have something that is a business that will be automatically running, whether we're there or not. I mean, of course, you have to have some, supervision and managing, and that would be ideal, I think, in my opinion. And then something that we could leave, I think that's just the greatest thing that my son sees us and actually getting done. Like he gets, because of him, we were invited to be part of our chamber in our small town, and everybody knows him. We always joke around, he's going to be like the mayor. So he walks in like shaking everybody's hand. It's kind of funny. But
and it's a great job. It's a great business. I mean, I enjoy going out there and just just meeting new agents and talking to them. It's a great job. I mean, you're on the field and you're driving around and you get to see beautiful homes and you get to talk to these great agents and it's awesome. I enjoy it.
It's like easy to forget when you've been shooting real estate for a while how fun it actually is. Like you get to fly drones, see cool houses, take photos, and drive to the next one. Anyway, go for it, Elva. Sorry.
Yeah, well, and meet all these great people. Like I am really, really surprised how kind and how nice and how helpful they really. We went again, drove 2 hours, but still, because she's been so supportive of us, and she was so sweet. And she's like, my brokerage has a photographer already, but I want to use you. I want to use you guys. And she's like, let's build because she does
ranch style
and like property acreages and farms. And she's like, let's build your ranch and farm portfolio. And I was like, yes. And so we got to ride around in a little, the
little gator thing or whatever they call it.
A little gator out there in the field. And I mean, she's awesome.
It was so sweet. I mean, at the end, she's like, she paid us and she's like, here's extra. She goes, stop and get some lunch. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Agents are great. They really, a lot of people think they're not, and they just I mean, they had to build a business too, right? Like they understand what you're going through. So I think it is a really enjoyable group of people. I mean, you always have those people that aren't as fun, but like 9 out of 10 times they're awesome.
And you can get great advice for them too, as far as business. If you want to go into like flipping homes or getting loans, they're a great person to talk to. They have, they're great.
Yeah,
well, they're people that are trying to make something happen for themselves. They're the same thing we're doing. I guess my last question is: you guys get to work together as a couple. Any advice for couples thinking about starting this business specifically that you can think of?
I think
patience.
Patience, yes, patience is key. I think I think we owe Karen some marital counseling sessions because she's been a lot of help. I think her outside perspective on when we're in disagreement. You know, it's a business. At the end of the day, it's a business, but we both want the same outcome. We want to be successful. We want to do the great work. So I think that is key whenever both partners have the same goal in mind, and you're both in it, like 100% committed to it. Because if one of them, if you're going to work together, I think if it would be, no, it's just my thing, then, you know, I do my thing, and you know, it's okay, you can. But if you're going to be working together, I think patience, yes, and then compromise. It's kind of like a marriage.
Yeah, I'm kind of like dreading when we get so big to where, you know, because we drive around, we get lunch together, we drive, we talk, we kind of, you know, we brainstorm, you know, but I'm kind of dreading that one when it gets to so big to where we're both driving separate ways, you know. I enjoy it, you know, we sit down and we drive and we talk, and, you know, where we want to go, where we want to take this, you know, and it's fun, you know, we enjoy talking. You know, we've been married for 24, 25 years, and so we kind of know each other, but, you know, business, you know, there's always going to be some disagreements, but, you know, you'll figure it out.
Well, it's cool too, because I mean, like most of the time we're awake, we spend working, right? And so if you do get to work with your spouse, that's cool. Like that's not something everybody gets to do, and it's fun when it's something you can build together. You know, it's not just a job you share. It's like, I don't know, as you talked about earlier, it's something for the future that you get to build now. And the cool thing, we didn't get a lot of a chance to talk about this, but it's like when you do the work, it's hard work starting a business. I mean, you guys over the last 6 months put in the work, and that's why your business has grown. But when you do that, you know, it's a relatively short period of time that creates options for a lot of time in the future. So now you have a business that's, you know, it's not where you want it to be, but it is doing thousands a month in revenue, and it will continue to grow. And that every time it grows, you get more options, you know? You get to decide if you want to hire, if you just want to stay solo and make a bunch yourself. Like, it's just cool. That's the most fun part to me, is that it gives you that, I guess it's really freedom at the core. Like, you have the options, and that's where, in my opinion, freedom comes from, is the ability to choose. So yeah. Well,
and kudos to the program, because I mean, if it wasn't for the program, I mean, we wouldn't have known how to get started. I mean, it's taught us from step one to everything. You know, how to get the logos. We know QuickBooks has been amazing. I mean, that thing's amazing. We wouldn't known how to use that, or you know, just everything itself. You know, and numbers, keeping track of your numbers is a big deal. You know,
it is.
With our other business, we never thought about that. It kind of grew organically, the other one, and I kind of wish we would have followed. I wish there would have been a method back then of how to do that. You know, because it's helped us. The program has helped us out a whole lot. A lot, you know.
And it's kind of like you're scared to note your numbers.
Like, so you kind of bury your head.
You're like, I don't want to look at them. Let's not talk about it. But
that's what pushes you. That's what drives you, though.
That's what that's why we have.
Most of the time, it's not even that bad. You're actually doing good.
Yeah. That's why one of my favorite things is the reporting board, you know, and the one you guys are filling out. Like, it just shows you, it's cool too, because it shows you the progress. I think a lot of times, like you said, it's easier to think you're doing worse than you are. And so you see, it's cool to see in your board, $500, $2,500, 40, whatever it was. Like, that's awesome to get to see that.
It is. It's awesome.
Well, thanks to you both for jumping on here today. And congrats on all the success so far. So really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Welcome back, everyone. Got an exciting video for you guys. Got Jeffrey and Deanna Andrews on here. Really excited to talk with them. We got to work with them over the last year as they built their business in our coaching program, and wanted to invite them on and just have them kind of talk about that process. Not specifically what coaching looks like, but just what building the business was like for them, things they learned, things maybe they wish they would have done differently. So first of all, Deanna and Jeffrey, thank you so much for your time.
Anytime.
Absolutely.
Glad to be here.
So tell us, I guess, go back to the start. You decided to start a real estate media business. How'd that happen?
Yeah, so I guess we moved to Huntsville. We're from South Florida about a year ago, and he was able to get a pretty good job, so we were good with that. But we did have a financial responsibility kind of above and beyond that, and so I knew that I was going to have to get a job. So kind of started on the hunt for that. But we had previously kind of dabbled over the years in starting a business. It's kind of always been a dream to do that, but we had never gotten very far with it. And I think one reason is because we kind of just got buried in just the little details and stuff, which we've learned from REPP. That's just not what you want to do. And so we would get discouraged, and it would end up being like a little side gig, and that was that. So when we moved here, we just knew, okay, I got to find something. We can't be thinking about a business. And then we had some really good friends that were getting ready to sell their house, and they actually asked us if we did real estate photography because they knew that I had a little bit of experience in portrait photography. Yeah. So they were like, oh, it's probably the same thing, which obviously not. But so at the time I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe, probably, I don't know. We just kind of talked about it briefly, but it got us thinking. So I went online and I actually came across your Instagram page and saw like a little reel, like a promo reel for the business. And so, I thought it was pretty interesting. Like, this is cool. It might be cool, but that's kind of as far as I went with that. And then a couple of days later, the agent that our friends were working with actually called us. And the lady said, would you be able to take photos for my listing coming up? And I was just not prepared at all for that. And the thing is, I had just watched your promo video. So I was like, absolutely, I can do that. And I was just thinking, I don't know, maybe I can come up with something. Mm-hmm. And so I told her we're actually right in the middle of moving, which was true. And I said, we'll probably need a couple weeks to get settled. But if it's okay, can I reach out after that and see if you have any listings? And she was like, sure, not a problem. So I literally, after hanging up with her, I got online and I looked at your Instagram account again. And that kind of led me to the REPP page that had like the little workshop.
Yeah.
A video so I watched that.
You knew zero about real estate photography. And she's saying, yeah, sure, absolutely.
I don't know why not? And so after watching that little workshop, I immediately got on the phone with him and I'm like, you've got to watch this. I think it's something we could do, because not only did it was just laid out so well, it made sense to me, and it felt like something that like we could actually be helped with. And then also it was photography and videography, which is something that we both have an interest in. So we just kind of start from there, and then we ended up getting on an online call with you, and we were like, yeah, let's do this. Yeah,
love that. That's so funny. It's usually the other way people see it is they kind of have that idea they want to start a business, right? And they're scrolling, and then they just get constantly bombarded with my videos. And then it's funny too. I think it was probably a thing that created some more comfort for you. I would imagine that you had an agent ask for photos, and then you saw it. You had like that alignment where it's like, is this actually a market? Is there a market?
Yes. That's so like, oh, people actually need this.
You join coaching, you're all in at that point. And I think from our perspective, I mean, we get to work with a lot of people. I think there were a lot of things that you did well that I want to point out, which is you just did what we said. And it's not you did what we said because you just trusted that we've done this before and you went through the process. And so you guys were both really good at following that. You put in the work with the Instagram messages, which is a big part of it. You just did the right things. But so you first joined, how did that go from there? Was it like, we're going to try this? Were you fully committed, or how did it actually feel at that point when you decided to jump into coaching?
I mean, we were, going into coaching because we've done some things in the past. I've done some tutorials online, trying to better my craft, training, those types of things. So for us to join coaching, that was a big step for us.
Yeah.
We'd never done anything like that before. And so for us, it was, if we're going to do this, if we're going to do the coaching part of it, we're going to go all in. And basically right around that time, Deanna had put out applications for jobs, and she had gotten some calls, and there was actually one that she had interviewed with. They wanted her to come back for a second interview. We thought, okay, here we go. That's going to probably be how she provides for this financial thing that we have.
Yeah.
And we decided, let's go all in. Let's do the coaching. Let's go all in. Let's start this business, and let's make this work. And so that's kind of where we were with that.
Yeah. So let's jump to today a little bit. Where is the business at now? Like, how many shoots you guys doing? What info can you say about the business? And then I'd love to talk about your initial, what you thought was going to happen versus what happened, and maybe it aligned, maybe it didn't. I have no idea. So where's the business at today, a year later? Not quite a year, right? Just about a year.
No, yeah. So I mean, we argue about when we started, but yeah, it's so our first shoot was probably in July. The end of July. So I kind of count it from around that time, because it took us, even with the coaching, with the checklist, all the stuff that you did a great job, of course. It took us a little while because we had just moved here. We have a family. We're trying to just get all of our ducks in a row. It was a big life change for us. So even with that, it took us a little while to get going. But yeah, so I mean, our first shoot was in July. Right now, we're in the month of April. And so our February was up until that point when we hit February. Well, let me back up to the end of January. We had our biggest week, which I think we had, I want to say 8 or 10 shoots that week. And then we did around $2,000 for that week. And so we were pretty thrilled about that, because that was a big step in our
January too, which is like off season still.
Exactly. And so then we hit February, and up until that point, we had averaged about 12 shoots per month. Okay. And so we hit February, and we surpassed that within the first 2 weeks, I think. we ended up getting to about, I think, 24, 25 shoots. And we did 6,000 that month for February. And then I got a little nervous because March rolls around, and we had one shoot the first week of March. I think we did $150 in revenue first week of March. And then we had our highest month in March. Our highest month, our highest week, the last week of March, we did about 3,000, and then we did about 8,000 more for March. And now we're on track. If we don't get any more shoots in April, we'll do about 7. If we get some more shoots, we're on track to have our highest month of total shoots and maybe dollars. So,
when we're only at the time of filming this, April 19th. So
we still have some time.
Yeah. The fun part too, and I think you guys probably know this more than the average person watching this, but even April is still not even ramped up into busy season. So the fun part too is when you have, like, one thing I think you two did very well is you just did the Instagram method. Like, you just put in the work and actually made it happen. And so we not only have the swing into busy season, we also have the referrals and the clients coming from that Instagram method work. And so it makes for a fun busy season, where I'd imagine, I was thinking you guys are going to clear 15, maybe 16, maybe 18 in a month this year. We'll see how it plays out.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So we were talking before we started the recording here about how you guys had just kind of seen the things that we were talking about would happen. So I guess, what are those big ones for you that, you thought you heard us talking about, but actually happened? Anything specific come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like when you get started and you see this goal of, I think it was like making $6,000 for the first time. You're like, I don't know, that'd be great, but is it really going to happen? And so seeing that actually happen. And then what was funny, when we hit that mark, and then the next month we just had like one shoot at the beginning of the week, he was like, all right, that's it. It was just a fluke. Right. And I was like, no, but we've gotten to this point. So surely, they said it's going to continue, like, at this point, because we were starting to get referrals and things like that. So I'm like, it's going to happen. And, the way this business is that we're learning, it's just from week to week. You can go from nothing to boom, a full schedule. Yeah. So, we've seen how all of a sudden that's starting to happen, where we're starting to
one of those things where it tests your emotion. I feel like that's half of building a business, is like, there's just be a week that makes you go, all right, I didn't think that was going to happen. I've told this story, I think, on a live before, but we had another coaching client who was, 1 week, this is legitimately not even an exaggeration. 1 week they were really worried about, they didn't have enough shoots, and they started worrying about the future of their business. So they came to us with questions around that. Like, I really need to ramp up acquisition. I need to do a bunch of stuff. And we looked at their trajectory, and it was like pretty consistent and pretty good. We're like, I think it's just, it happens sometimes. And they were really worried about it. The very next week slammed, right? Just like the busiest week they've ever had. And it was so funny because they came to us in coaching with questions like, I think I need to hire right now. And it was like all these questions back to back. And then if you looked if you average out the month, it was just a super normal month. It was just one busy and one slow. So it's just so funny how that side of it happened. So when you first were, like, you committed to starting the business, what was exciting to you about, like, why real estate photography, or what made you kind of take the leap?
So I think part of it was that we were able to, she's done portrait photography. I've done some videography, and it was something that, okay, maybe there will be some familiarity there. It's not just like going in blind, or, man, I don't know how to do anything and I'm going to have to learn everything. I think that was part of it. But then, of course, listening to your videos, and then being part of that group, understanding that real estate photography, as opposed to like portrait photography or wedding videos or anything like that, is you have repeatable business. You have repeatable clients. So, you know, when she would do a shoot, like a baby shoot or for seniors for portrait photography, I mean, you might get that client 1 or 2 times, but that was it. And then weddings, you know,
for years too, potentially.
Yeah, for years, right?
Yeah, that's kind of one of those things that sold me when you were talking about it. I was like, wait a minute, this is like, you can establish a relationship with these clients and then continue to have business with them. So to me, that was huge.
And that's exactly what we've seen. We have clients that we know are our clients, and we've had, repeatable business with these clients every time they get something. We even had clients that have had us come in and they haven't sold a house in the last 6 months, and we went in and redid the photography for them, because at that point they had another photographer do it, and they love us and they like our work, so they wanted us to redo it.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think a lot of what initially made me excited about the business was that I just hated selling. Like, it was extremely uncomfortable for me. And so I liked that once I got a client, I didn't have to do anything and that they would sell for me. And it's funny because it was a fear that made me like that at the start. But now I look back, I'm like, fear or not, like, that is a legitimately good thing about this specific niche, is that you keep working with them. The other thing too, we kind of talk about like the 3 R's as why this business is awesome. That's language we've used lately. So it's repeat business, but it's referral business, because all the real estate agents you work with are constantly with each other. So it's like the perfect storm of like, they use you over and over, and they're also doing deals with other agents. And the last one we say is kind of unrelated to what we're talking about, but it's like required business. It's not actually, but it helps. The thing that I love is it's not, people will pay for an emotional result, like senior photos, they'll obviously pay for, right? But the difference with real estate photos is that paying you to do those photos helps them achieve something in their business. So it's not an expense for them, right? It's like an expense not to. And so I think that all just kind of goes together nicely.
Yeah, I mean, we had like one agent that had us come in. She actually sent us, her client, the homeowner, had sent her a text just thanking her for the photos, the video, loved it. And she said, thanks so much, you guys are just making me look good. And we were like, that you're just doing a great job. It's awesome. But that's our goal. That's what we want to do. And so it's great when you see people like you're encouraging that. And that's something you guys also done a really good job of, what is the main focus? It's customer service. It's building relationships. So even more than all the making everything being perfect. And because we tend to be perfectionists and we want things to be just right. And sometimes we can just get like so absorbed with that we don't focus on what we need to focus on. So that has been very big for our business. And we've just been trying so hard to do that. And if there's a problem, we're going to fix it. And we're going to make things as easy as possible for our clients. And that's something that we get feedback now. They're constantly saying, you guys are so easy to work with. Yeah. Your systems are so easy, which that's what you guys have helped us with. Everything is just, they just love how simple it is and how flexible we are. Those are all things you guys have taught us to be able to concentrate on those things. And so now we're seeing that coming back, and that's what people are saying that they love about us. I feel like that's something that helps us stand out. Yeah.
Well, most photographers are so focused on the other stuff. And I know that because that was me. Like that's why it took so much longer to grow than you two did, just because I didn't know that, So anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, yeah.
No, and going back to what you said about the sales part of it, because that was a big thing for us jumping into the coaching and the real estate understanding, because Deanna and I we're introverts by nature, and we don't like confrontation. Trying to sell somebody on something. I'm a terrible negotiator. I'm a terrible salesperson. But understanding how it's done through the Instagram method, being able to start there. So let me say it this way: being able to start your business doing that, and then grow into being a salesperson. And so we've seen that with us, to where, for us, I think if we had to go out and knock on doors and, go meet people face to face, there would have been a bigger barrier for us. The barrier of entry was less because of the Instagram method. But now what we're seeing is that we're not as nervous to go talk to an agent, to go do a brokerage presentation, to do what needs to be done to make the sale. So,
I mean, the Instagram method, the first few times I had to write a message and send it, I was terrified. And
yes, even with that. Yeah.
I know, even with that. So it's grown us too, but it's because we've been given the right tools to know where to start and then kind of go from there. So
it's funny. I think that's a lot of people's stories. I mean, it's like, I think a lot of people wouldn't believe it now because all I do is make content online, but I'm a massive introvert, especially when I was first starting. It's the same thing. I think I think I just had a misunderstanding about what sales was. And I thought it was more confrontation oriented. And I don't like that. That's the worst. It's the thing I'm the weakest with. And then you learn that that's just bad sales. Like good sales, you're not selling, right? You're helping them understand the value of something and delivering a service they like. And so that's kind of the fun part, is it helps you learn what that actually means. And then you develop into a salesperson. It's not just pushy and trying to get stuff done. It's like, especially because the business is built on, it's not, oh, buy this mouse and you're never going to see me again. It starts an ongoing relationship. So I think it's interesting because if you're really that one-time, pushy sales type, that's a skill. It's not a skill that I really want to have. But in this business, that skill actually might set you back because you're going to it's about optimizing the long-term relationship and, thinking in that. So,
exactly.
Building trust with people too.
Yeah. Because it's not just one sale. I mean, you're going to work with them for, hopefully we have clients who my first client doesn't sell real estate anymore, but I have within that circle of like first 10 clients, a big portion of them, it's been 11 years still use Norman Neon.
Wow.
Right. So it's like, I should go back and do the math and see how much they've paid us over that time. It's cool to see like that relationship. Not only does it pay you a lot, it's going to last a long time.
Yeah.
So if someone's thinking about joining and starting this business, and this isn't a coaching related question. If someone's thinking about whether this business is right for them, what would you want them to think about? Like, what would you have wanted to know genuinely that would help or maybe make them be more cautious with the decision?
Well, I think exactly what we did think about when we were thinking about this business was, and these were some of the things that, and they're kind of myths almost, but like, what is the competition? Like, we worried a lot about competition. What is the day-to-day going to be like? What kind of, we didn't know it in these terms back then, but what are the systems going to be like? How is the progress and how are you going to run your business from day to day? Where when we got into coaching, we were able to see that, competition doesn't matter. You shouldn't spend a lot of time thinking about that. Even the skill set doesn't matter. Even though we come from photography and videography background, the skill set doesn't matter. Because if you do it right and you practice and you get the right shots, you're going to send it off to an editor. And that's another thing, because that's something we would have done. If we didn't know any better, we would have concentrated on editing. We would have done that all ourselves. And so, you're going to send it off the editor. They're going to make the pictures look wonderful. They're going to make the video look wonderful. Those types of things. And then just the as we talked about before, the sales part of it is not as scary as it might seem, when you're doing the Instagram method. So, really you're just putting your head down and you're doing that IG method and just moving with that and then learning as you grow your business.
Yeah, we were talking kind of a funny story. We were remembering the first 2 shoots that we did, 2 little bitty houses. And thankfully the realtors were there.
They weren't.
Well, they were there. Amy was there at the beginning and then she left, but we were pretty much alone. And it took us over 3 hours to get the house finished up because we were just, but that's how we were learning as we were doing it.
How nervous were you at those first weeks?
I remember just sweating and just.
My shirt was drenched. I had an undershirt on and it was totally.
Well, and the realtor was like, "Oh, you guys are the professionals." They said that several times. And we were thinking, "Oh my goodness."
Major imposter syndrome.
Yes.
For a while.
So it was funny now.
I asked as kind of a leading question because I think everybody feels that way, but it was on my call on Tuesday, my group call. And it was a guy who had just joined. He got his first shoot. I'm forgetting his name right now, but either way, he's new to coaching. And he was like talking about the shoot. He was kind of excited. And I was like, "How are you feeling about the shoot?" And he was like, "Shaking in my boots." And I was like, "Yep, that's 100% true." So, so you don't feel that as like, I think the big thing, a lot of people that stops them from, whether it's working with us in coaching or just doing this on their own or starting any business, it's that fear.
Yes.
And the thing I always try to point out, and I love you guys to talk about this, but it wasn't that you didn't have fear, it was that you did it anyway. So I guess what are some of those things that have been scary, but then turned out to be not a big deal or you just had to conquer? Like what were those milestones, I guess, that were real scary?
I mean, the first shoot going in there, you know, for me, even doing video, I mean, it was a totally different style. I was used to kind of doing video in a studio where the camera's on a tripod, you know, I control the lighting, you know, those types of things. So going in there where I have to do some settings, thankfully, you know, through coaching and rep, the settings are not as scary as you would think. But, you know, just taking the video, taking the photos. I'd never flown a drone before. You know, so getting the drone up in the air, making, you know, just doing the work was scary, and we were nervous about it.
I would say for me, just focus on doing one thing at a time, like learning a new skill every time. And then as much as you're nervous, just smile and work on just relationship with people, because that's all they're going to remember. So all the things that we messed up on at the beginning, they're not going to remember that. They're going to remember if you were, you know, kind, if you helped them, if, you know, all those things, the customer service. So for us, we're introverts. This does not come naturally to us. I feel like every part of this, we've had to push ourselves, and we did it because we had that motivation that if we're going to do this, we have to do it, right? We have to go all in. And so we just kept pushing ourselves, and we have moved slower than other people that started when we did. We just kept doing it. And I would just say for anyone that's nervous about doing that, like just keep doing it, just one step at a time, because eventually you're going to look back with every step and realize, hey, I've just learned something that now I'm not nervous about. And that just makes you feel more confident as you move on to the bigger, scarier things that you'd never imagined that you could do, but you get there somehow, just kind of one step at a time.
Yeah. So now we go into a shoot and, you know, maybe we have 3 in a day. And we actually do a lot of video now. So it's most of our shoots come with either a reel or video, you know, or something like that. And that's not the scary part. You know, that's not what scared this. You know, the scary part is just, hey, how are we going to get new clients? Are we going to keep moving? You know, those types of things at this point. You know we have our clients and we know they're going to book with us. Yeah. Obviously, our business is contingent upon them getting listings. You know, so we have to continue to get new clients, so we have enough clients to where that's not a huge deal anymore. You know, so yeah, the shooting, those things, it's just not scary anymore.
Yeah, that's like, so that's what it is with everything in the business too. Your first hire, oh my gosh, like, and I think the advantage you two have specifically is that you've seen that you both can do it. It's way worse when just one person is doing it, because you don't believe anybody else can learn all the things you've had to learn. And so it's just funny how these same fears like repeat themselves. So I thought we couldn't hire photographers, right? And I got over that, hire photographers. And then I literally had this belief that I told myself, you can hire photographers, you can't ever hire an admin. Eli, what you do on the phone, no one, like, what kind of nonsense? It's so funny how they just repeat. So I guess, and on the tangent of, really not the tangent where I want to go with this is, what's the future for you guys, for your business? Like, what do you want to see happen? Do you want to hire people in the future? Do you love where it's at and just want to get to 12, 15K a month? Like, what's the dream?
So the dream, I think the immediate dream, at least for me, is to grow this big enough to where I can just do this, to where because right now, I have a good job, and it's a corporate job. It's a good job, but it is different than what I used to do. So, you know, you're in a cubicle, you know, that kind of thing. And I really enjoy doing the real estate photography. I enjoy it when I get to do that. I really enjoy it. So for me, that is a goal that we would like to see happen in the future, to where this can replace, not only provide for that financial need that we have, but then replace my job at that. So that's kind of, I guess that would be long-term, but we have talked about, you know, immediately, you know, we're getting to the point where I think we need to hire a VA, you know, because we're just, when we don't have shoots, Deanna has done all the Instagram methods. So, you know, she's been a champ at that. And, you know, but if we have shoots, she doesn't have a lot of time for that. You know, and then posting on Instagram, because that's important. We've understood that posting on social media, Instagram, whatever it is, that's important. So maybe having a VA for some of those things.
We want to strengthen some of those things, because we know we can do better at those things. So,
well, especially once you have, I mean, once you're making money from the business and it's working, that's the whole point, right? Like, as you get people to start building that system that, you know, the ultimate thing I think for a lot of people is having something that a really cool experience that I'll share with you guys, and you may have already heard me say, but I think it's something to look forward to for everybody, is that first time when you have a client book a shoot online, or maybe with your admin in the future, and then some other photographer does the shoot, someone else edits it, someone QCs it, someone delivers it, and the client's happy, right? Like when that full system is complete. And so the way I look at it is, when you're first building your business, is like you have parts of that system complete, and they're like, you're always looking towards that. And then you get there and it's just a really cool feeling. So that's what I always like to encourage people at your stage, where it's not going to be, I mean, with referral growth, it's compounded, right? So 100 clients referring you is different than 20. It just grows much faster. And so it happens faster than a lot of people think. And I just think that's a fun stage, because then you're like, wow, this is actually like, you start to see it as a business, not a job. And it's not that it's a bad job. Treating real estate's awesome. I mean, I shot for years myself, but that's like a really cool next feeling I always like to share. So it'd be exciting when you get there.
And thankfully, this is something we actually really enjoy doing.
We do enjoy doing it.
Obviously, there's still a lot we need to do, and there's a lot of things that we think about in the future, and it makes us really nervous.
Yeah.
But again, okay, we're here. We're where we didn't think we'd get here, so let's just keep moving. So.
Well, I think that's what's encouraging and exciting, is that we've had a $6,000, $8,000 month, and we feel like we've only scratched the surface. We feel like there's so much more that can be done, so many more agents that can become our clients, and just a lot more for the future. So, we would like to get into hiring someone. I mean, that is a goal in the future, to where we, start hiring and, having photographers working under us. We've often talked about, maybe the first step is to hire before I quit my job, is actually to hire somebody and get the business rolling that way, with that employee, and then go from there. So
the nice part too is, when you own a business, you have options, right? Like you don't have to be one working, you can do that. I like how you said you scratched the surface of it, because it's funny. Normally Young this month we'll do somewhere between 80 and 100K, probably closer to the 100K. So pretty busy month for us. We're excited, and sometimes like, oh wow, like that's pretty good. And then I got on a live with Todd, the guy who owns Spear. I don't know if you guys watched that last week. And he screen shared his numbers, and I was like,
oh no.
I was like, all right, there's levels to this game.
Yeah.
Just for everybody that hasn't seen that, what was it, like 850,000 for the year in April? Like we're almost at $1 million. And the month, this was like April 10th, we did the live, was already at, the revenue was 106,000.
That's ridiculous.
Some hadn't been collected. I was like, oh, it's just so funny how I used to think very clearly that, I remember my first $4,000 month. I thought that was like an impossible amount of money to earn as a photographer, and it's just so funny to see it now. Like Todd, normally Young does $4,000 days, I'm like, days. So it's just cool. And I think that's probably unique about real estate media. You don't really see that in a lot of other niches, and that's just one of the things I like about it. But I guess final things, like someone really wants to start this business. They're committed to putting in the work. It's not a hope and a dream. It's not a get rich quick thing. They know it's going to take work. And not on the join coaching thing. Because when people who are in coaching get on here and say join coaching, like people are like, they're in it. Of course they're going to say that, right? Besides that, what would you encourage them to think about, or any advice to someone who's just starting?
Well, I know you just said that, but I would have to say, because for us, see, what coaching has helped us do is, for us, we started, and so, okay, let's put coaching aside. So I'll just say, this is something you can look at. We would focus on the details. We would be perfectionists about starting the business. We would have worked for 6 months on our logo, on our website, on our branding, on practicing photo shoots, and then probably would have quit because it was just too much and we didn't have any clients. So speed is your friend. The speed of getting out there, not worrying about, well, I'm going to mess up. It's not the end of the world if you go out there and you mess up. And even if you lose a client, although we hate it, if you mess up. So it's more of just, jump in. If you're trying to start and you want to do it, jump in, because it's a good business. It's repeatable business. And then once you start building your business, just keep at it. There's something that you and Aaron have both said several times. And that stuck with me. And that is, for today, move your business, even if it's just a little bit. Do something to move your business just a little bit, to advance your business just a little bit. Don't be stagnant. Just, even if it's sending out one DM just today, at least do that so that so something that moves your business just a little bit day by day. And that's stuck with us to where even though we've been slow at times, we know that at least today we moved it somehow.
Yeah.
I would say it is work. It's hard work, but everything in life that is worth doing is going to take a lot of work and effort. And to me, this is a lot more rewarding and more exciting when you start to see all the, everything happening from all the hard work. It's very rewarding, more so than maybe just working, at a corporate job and coming home. And yeah, you come home, you don't have to think about it. When you're a business owner, you're like 24/7. Yeah. But the rewards are so much greater. So if anyone, is thinking about it and thinks this is something they'd be interested in, I think it's a great business to get into. It's a lot of fun, but just keep at it. Just don't give up.
Like the work element of it too, because I think there's, we having an online coaching program of any kind, you get a lot of people interested who are like, is this a quick, fast way, to make things happen? I understand the wanting to make things happen fast, but I would argue that the people who try to make it happen fast, it actually ends up being just more work, because you try something, it doesn't happen fast. You restart something else, it doesn't happen fast. And then 10 years later, you still haven't made anything happen. And so it's funny, like trying to avoid the hard work element to me actually just creates more hard work. It's like, I'd rather at least work consistently. The quote that makes me say that, just keep doing something, is, I heard this early on, it stuck with me. It was a Gary Vee quote. He was like, you have to have macro patience, patience for the big things, but you have to have micro speed. You have to keep doing every day you have to do something to move it forward. So I love that. That stuck with you, because that actually, that for me, that was probably the biggest single thing that made me go, okay. Because I'm a guy who gets impatient really easily. I want results today. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, that's it. 100%.
Well, thank you so much for your time on here. Really appreciate it. And it's been, it's always fun getting to watch people grow. I think the biggest thing that is fun for us on our side of things is I know how long it took me to grow. And so when people you'll hear people say, dang it. You mentioned, and I know you didn't say it in this way, but you're like, we did it slow at times. And then I laugh from my end, because I'm like, I would have done anything for 8K a year in, literally, I was like, I thought that was impossible. And so I just think that's fun. That's part of it. You should be able to move faster because you had those tools, and I love that. So thanks again for being here. Really appreciate
it. We enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hello, everyone. So I'm back with somebody that you're absolutely going to love to hear from. I just got to talk to him on a coaching call for the last hour. It was awesome. And I hope that his story of not just being in coaching, but just building a business and really making things happen for himself is something that's going to be hopefully inspirational. And I hope not just inspirational. I hope it's something that helps you take action. So I got Edwin here. Edwin, tell your story a little bit, where you're at, and then we'll just dive in from there.
How's it going, everyone that's going to be watching this? So right now I am just hit my 10K month in April. So that is awesome. Never thought that was possible, but I started the business at the end of December and I got into coaching. I didn't really get shoots till January, but just for people to know, January I was offering free shoots, made $1,000 on free shoots. February made $3,000 on free shoots. March was almost $6,000. And then now in April, $10,000. I don't do free shoots anymore, 50% off shoots, but it's just crazy how much I've exploded in this short amount of time.
What do you think? I mean, I know a little bit about you more than someone watching this, but what's different about you, or what did you do to make this possible that you think people would want to know getting into it? What would you have wanted to know when you were first starting?
Yeah, so I think the difference with me is I was okay with spending money for coaching, because I knew I needed someone to guide me and someone who's already been there that can get me faster and, get my business going. So the first one was definitely coaching. The second one is offering the free shoots and over delivering on every single one of the free shoots, and just making sure that I had a good product for my clients. And that's really what took the business to the next level. And then just reaching out. No tomorrow, reaching out, following up.
And so, obviously, starting a business requires a lot of work. Coaching's not a magic pill. Your success, you had a roadmap from us, but your success was because you actually showed up, you did the work, you stayed consistent. Did you ever I know we talked about it a little bit, before we were recording here, but how often did you feel like it was not going to work? What did you do to continue anyway? Because I think a lot of people have fears. Everybody has fears when they're starting a business, but like, I guess what gave you the endurance to just keep at it?
Yeah, I've always had that feeling that like, even now, like I feel like it's something like you just never feel good enough, you know? Like it's something that you're always trying to just be better, and you don't want to lose clients or any of those things. But definitely when I was offering the free shoots, and you have to, yeah, I made a little bit of money on the free shoots, but I wasn't expecting that money that came. So I had to go 2 months mentally saying I'm not gonna make any money and I'm gonna over deliver. And that was really hard. But I just kept telling myself, I'm not trying to build a business to make money now. I'm trying to build a business to make money in the future, right? So if I take 3 months of doing the free shoots and over delivering, what's my business going to look like March to June? And as we can see, it's paying off already. 10K in April. This month, let's see what we're going to hit. Let's break another 10K. 12 and then up. But really, it's that looking forward to what the next 3 months are going to look like. What's the next 6 months going to look like in the business versus the money now. And one big quote was, you said it. And this, every time I was like, I didn't want to do the free shoots or anything. It was like, you don't need money, you need opportunities. Yeah. And that is what I kept replaying in my mind every single time. It's like, I don't need money right now. I need an opportunity, because if I can land the client, over deliver for them, I'm going to have a retainer every single month of business coming, a small well coming back to me every single month. That's more valuable than the $150 that I would have gotten the first, or 200, whatever, 300.
Well, it's hard too, because you like the saying, you need opportunity, not money, is true, but you really feel like you need money. And that's what I think messes up a lot of people, is like what made you just do the free shoots? And a lot of people like overthink it. They'll try to do like, a discount at the start, or they'll try to do full price. Like, what made you just do that, I guess? Was it just that you knew it was gonna work, or like how did that happen?
Well, for me, I went all in, right? So from the start, I quit my job. I took all the money I had and I just went all in. So I said, yeah, sure, I need money, but it's gonna grow my business slower than me just offering free shoes. And if I can hold off for two months, I know my business will be 3 times bigger. So that all the money will start coming back to me in the next, few months coming up. So for me, it was like the free shoot was the way, in the beginning, until the free shoots were a little too much. And then we adjusted to 50%.
Well, and one thing, I mean, and this, but for everybody watching, speed's really important in business. And I think a lot of people don't know exactly what that means. And so like one thing I think you've done very well, I mean, from the very first call where you talked about coaching and you're like, all right, let's go. And then you just jumped in and went for it. This isn't a coaching pitch. It's not about coaching. Like if you're starting a completely different video and you're watching this and you're saying, how do I start fast? Like, have you always been someone that did that, Edwin? Like just jumped in and just made it happen? Like, are you normally an overthinker? Like, who are you in that side of things?
Well, I definitely overthink a lot of things. So like if I can find a way to make it where I don't have to overthink and take that mental, baggage out of my head, then I'm willing to pay for it, and at the end of the day, you really have nothing to lose, not taking the move is the loss, right? And even when you take the move and you decide to get coaching or any help, you have to put in the work as well. Without the work, the coaching ain't gonna help.
Yeah.
You have to work hard, and the first few weeks is gonna be hard. I think you guys have it the first 4 weeks.
The first 4 weeks is like boot camp.
The first 4 weeks was crazy because I was doing the shoots and trying to build business, and really it's just learning everything and being a newbie to everything. Doing the first shoot, using the first editor, doing the video services yourself. You've never done it all before, so everything is overwhelming, and it takes a very long time to do it. But as the months go on, it just gets easier and easier and easier. Just like before, 3 shoots would take all day to do. Now I'm able to have systems where it's getting a lot easier and I'm done at a certain time. And now with coaching, we're going to try to figure out how to get that down even less. stuff.
Yeah. So so someone's just starting their business, and coaching aside, like not even talking about that, is there a couple pieces of advice? One, like what's your advice for someone who's just starting a real estate media company in terms of what it takes to be successful quickly? Because most people, they want to build a business relatively quickly, right? And I think if you try to go too quick and you're trying to make money in your first month, it's not going to leave you in a very good place, right? Because you do have to be but like, any advice generally about starting a business as someone who's done it well?
Yeah, there's two big advices, and this is why it's really good who you listen to, but I listen to Alex Hormozi. And so let's say coaching aside, right? He has 2 books, right? So the first one, you need an offer, right? So you have to create an offer that the agents want, or something that they need, right? So it could be the photos, a floor plan, and maybe just a drone shot to get started. That's it. That's your offer, and a good price. And you say the first free shoot. But then the next is getting the leads, right? So you need to start contacting how to get leads. So you have your own database. Do you know any realtors by chance? Do you know any people that know realtors that can give you a warm lead in? So you got the cold leads, warm leads, and all that good stuff. So yeah, so that's exactly what I would do, is definitely start outreaching, whether it's the Instagram method or use any method that works for you. I personally didn't use Instagram because I had people on Facebook. And so I just did the Instagram method
on Facebook.
With Facebook. Yeah. And that was a very successful run, and all it takes is one DM for someone to say, yes, I would love to help you out. And all of a sudden you have business coming to you like no tomorrow. And it only takes one person. You take that person's name, you post it, you do a really good job. And then when you send your pitch out, you can send that Facebook link or Instagram link to the people and be like, hey, this was what my first shoot looked like. I want to get better. I want to grow my business. Would you be open to give me an opportunity? And that's exactly what I would do. You just need one person, one name to get you going.
Dude, I love that you talked about how you shared that you're newer too. Like, a lot of people, they try to make it seem like they're established in this big company, but I mean, it sounds like you do too. Like, I think it's an advantage to be new and hungry and show that. I think people like that. And you want to help people that are just starting. And so I think if you lean into that, it works really well.
For sure. And I think people like that. If you're like a big company, they expect you to have everything ready and done. If they know it's just you and you mess up and you take a photo in a wrong angle, or you forget to move a phone or move a chair, accidentally, you're thinking, why'd I do that? But you'd be like, hey, you know what? Thank you for letting me know. I'm going to improve on that. Yeah. And just being like, the next time it's going to be better. Thank you so much for the feedback. With a smiley face, a thumbs up emoji,
I like you better after that. It's like, we talk about this a lot, but if you, as an established business or a new business, you're going to make mistakes, right? Like, doesn't matter how good you are, you're going to make mistakes. And the way you solve the mistake is what reflects on your company. And so if you solve it well, it's good. But I even go so far as like, if you make a mistake and you do a really good job solving that mistake, your client thinks better of you than if you didn't make the mistake. Because you're like, you showed them that you care. And I think so many people, they get so worried about making a mistake that they never start in the first place. Whereas like, you've always done that, as we've worked with you, it's just like, you just do it. You don't you just do it. And I think there's
and either way, like you said, like whether if they're like, oh, I want that fixed, and then if you fix it right away and you're like, here it is, boom, they're like, oh wow, that was super quick. Thanks for fixing that. So they feel like they can trust you more too, even when you mess up. You just gotta make the business feel good, Don't make it, if you mess up, don't tell them you messed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've been tempted to do that, where it's like I'm late on delivering photos and stuff like that. I just set the expectations quick. I'm like, hey, I'll deliver it between 4 and 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This way it's already there, and it's like,
communicating. That's the thing.
I'm late on delivering, but they already know in their head that I'm gonna deliver it between there. Yeah. And then guess what I do? I deliver it at 12, and they're like, oh my god, whoa! I got myself 4 or 6 hours earlier. So it's just all these like little business tricks that you can do in yourself to make your experience feel better.
Yeah. Well, it all goes back to just caring. I think, the way, this is a Layla Hormozi thing, but it's like the way you show people that you care is just by actually caring. Like, it's this hack, right? Like, you just care.
And I think the nice part about real estate media is it's not new customers over and over and over, right? It's like you get to build relationships. And so the game is not, hey, how many you have to get new ones at the start, but it's not how many new ones can I get? It's how can I keep the relationship going? And I think it is probably the case for you. It's definitely the case for me. Like, I like just being a decent person and spending time to build the relationships, because then they keep paying you. So you're not always on this cycle trying to find the next one, which to me is really cool about this industry, because you build a base.
And the referral business. Like, I don't have no referral program or anything, and I get so much referral business that it's, if you have a good product, you're a friendly person with the agents, they're going to refer you to other people. I have top agents refer me. One agent referred me like 5 people.
Yeah.
And who have booked 2, 3 different times, the other people.
Yeah.
And those people are going to refer me to other people. So my business is going to grow huge with just word of mouth, by just over delivering and being a good person and relatable.
And speaking of product too, you're not a photographer coming into this, and you said tell everybody about the editing software situation you have. I thought that was hilarious.
The only software I have is Canva. That's it. Besides that, everything else, the editors need to take care of it. And the video editing, I use, I was doing it myself in the beginning, but then as you scale and you start doing 3, 4 videos a day, you can't do it yourself no more. So now I use REPP editing. And honestly, that solves so much chaos in my mind. Try to figure out, is this speed RAM good? Is this there? The music and the copyrights and all that stuff. And it's like, I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning, my photos are delivered, my videos are delivered, and I can be more efficient and grow my business faster. So like some people, this is another good quote that I heard. They want the whole pie, But sometimes the whole pie, let's say your average order value is $250. So you want the whole pie, but it takes you all day to do the whole pie, right? Where with me, I'm okay with not having the whole pie. I'll give a little bit of percentage to the editors, but then I can do 3 shoots in a day. And now I just made $750 minus my editing costs in a single day versus just making $250 and keeping it all, right? Or it could be more, So that's just how I always thought of it, leverage. You always need leverage.
Yeah, and it's hard, especially at the start, because you want every penny, but you have to be, thoughtful about. Well, and it starts with the free, right? Like, that's getting leverage. The leverage is the fact that you need your product out there, and they're going to become walking billboards for your company, And then it becomes, okay, if I spend more time trying to get clients and less time editing, I no longer have to learn how to edit, number one, and 2, it's a much better use of time. So I guess, final thoughts. What's your plan for the business moving forward? I don't think you expected to be where you are now, but like, what are you excited to make happen?
No, yeah, and just for people to know, like, I'd never expected this to grow this fast at all. I really just wanted to replace my income and just work for myself. If I could make $4 or $5 grand a month, I was gonna be happy. But now we're at 10K per month, and honestly, I just know that there's so much potential out there. Like, I feel like I'm still just starting, So I know that there's a lot more to come from me, and that's why I'm just going to keep investing in coaching, keep getting my systems better, and try to scale to that 20, 30, 40K per month, and just keep breaking my limiting beliefs. I never thought making $10,000 was even possible. And then you make it and you're like, what's next? What's next? 20, 30, or 15, let's go.
It becomes more fun too, because when you're trying to get the business off the ground, you're trying to replace your income, it is more of a fear thing, right? Like, and you're excited about the future, but you have like a shorter term need. My favorite thing about as your business grows is then you just start thinking more about what it could be in the future. It's not as much about how am I going to pay for blank now. And so that's really fun, because then
that's what I love. Yes. Now my bank account, I got 3 car payments sitting in there that I can pay. I have, 4 or 5 grand, I still have debt, but I still have 4 or 5 grand that I'm able to pay stuff. So now it's just getting a little easier now. Yeah. And that's just my first month at 10K. So like, if I keep making 10Ks a month, my debt is going to be paid off in like no time.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that separates somebody just starting out and that's going to have a slow business versus someone who's going to have a fast business. One is someone who wants to do it all on their own, is not going to grow super fast. Someone who wants the coaching and someone to help them out and who has been there, they're going to grow faster. Two, a big thing that I saw in the beginning in my group, the people that were just starting out, they were worried about a $5 delivery.
Yeah.
And they were trying to, I was like, I'm paying the $5, I'm paying for all these things because I know where I'm going to go. You know, so like, don't worry about the change falling on the ground, the $5 delivery fee or this or that. Focus on what the business is going to be like 3 to 6 months from now. And 3 to 6 months from now, are you still going to be delivering with sending a payment page and doing this over here and doing that over there? No, you want the business to be ready. So when your client books a shoot, it's easy for them to book. The whole delivery process is easy. You know, for me, it's worth every dollar.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to it is hard to think. There's I forget what it's called, but there's like this decision-making framework that you can use, and it's almost always better to make the decision that's worse today. So like, you know, spending the $5 to get the property website for a free shoot kind of sucks because it's $5 wasted, but it's not really, right? It's saying like, hey, I'm investing that $5 now, or even with the free shoot and the time it takes to get those, it's like you're investing the time so you can make the payoff in the future. And what a lot of people do is they're unwilling to make 1 month kind of suck, and so they let the rest of their life suck. You know, or whatever it is, 6 months sucks, and then the rest of their life because they don't do that. And so that's hard, but it's what you have to do. You know, you have to take the quote unquote hit today and that's what an investment is, right? People just think money, like it's an investment of time sometimes. And that's what it was, you know, a lot for you. So
correct. And even when you over deliver, like let's say you want to add an extra. So this is what I did, and I think it really helped me grow, is I added free services. So like, let's say they ordered just photos or whatever, I'll throw in a virtual twilight because I'd never done it before. So I need to know what the virtual twilight process is. Extra drone shots. I'll throw, if it was a nice home and they didn't order a video, I was taking a video. Why? Because all of these things, everything we do, we can post on social media. The virtual twilights, you can make a video of the regular one blending into the virtual twilight. So now you have content to post. The videos is something to capture people when people are like, whoa, you do videos now?
Yeah.
All right, let me start booking videos, right? Now that's a way to me to get extra money on add-ons. Yeah. So everything I did was for the business and to grow it.
You were just looking, I think you do a really good job of looking for opportunity too. You're looking at the future instead of because no one wants to do the free video or the add-on. It just kind of sucks, but like it pays off so quickly. And that's the nice thing too, I think, about a service business is it's not like you're risking it all to like see if something's going to work, It's like you can do these little things, and that worked, and keep doing more of that. So
one example of what I did. So a person ordered a free shoot, and it was like 45 minutes out, and their photographer didn't want to go out there. I said, I'll go out there, right? I did the free shoot, and I said, hey, you're a good looking agent. I said, I believe that if I get a video of you, it's going to go viral.
Yeah.
He was like, really? I was like, let's do it. So now I did a video service, full video package for him, because I'd never done it. I wanted to practice, and I hyped him up. I did the video service. He loved it, booked it for his next appointment, for his next shoot. And then when I posted it, 3 other agents booked that same video that same week. So just by over delivering, and then now when I get requests for videos, I send them that. I say, hey, here's an example. Here's an example from that one free shoot and over delivering.
I mean,
that's how you're gonna get to 10K plus, honestly.
Yeah. It's simple, but it's not easy, So for everybody listening, like, I think that probably gives you a window into what it takes. It's just always looking for that next opportunity and, trying to be focused. It's funny too to say be focused on the future, because it's like, it's not years, right? It's like a short period of time. And I think
3 months.
That short period of time. But even in the 3rd month, which you did it faster than a lot of people. So I don't think everybody should be like, I'll get it my 3rd month. But still, it shows you like, it's not, even if it was, let's say it was a year it took you, right? That's still such a short amount of time in the scheme of business that I think a lot of people let whatever that short amount of time is stand in the way. And it's like, man, if you could just, for one period of time, take a step back to take 1,000 steps forward, it's just what it takes. But I understand it's hard, And so,
and what made me a little bit easier to get into this business for someone looking to start is that this business, it's a service-based business, so a lot of it is time. the editing costs and all these things are not as much money versus what you're actually charging, right? Let's say it takes you $30 to edit and stuff, but you're charging 250, right? So there's a lot of margin in there where it can be profitable much faster than starting a lawn care business or any of these other types of businesses. That's what drew me into it, and it's paying off. So if you're thinking about starting a photography business, definitely reach out to Eli's team for sure, because they changed my life literally from making $2,000, $2,500 a month to 10K, you know. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity that I've gotten.
Well, thank you for your time.
That's only possible with coaching and hard work. Coaching and hard work. But I've literally changed my life in 3 months. And the best thing I told Eli when we were having our other call is like, I've learned a skill set now that I can never be broke again. I can always, I've already made 10K. I can continue making 10K without scaling, right? I can, let's say it drops to half and I'm making 5K. You know, I think 5K is more than most people are making, right? So I have a skill set now that I will never go broke, and I'm just very thankful for that.
Well, thank you for putting in the work. There's no outro I'm going to say that tops that besides thank you for your time, Edwin. I appreciate you coming on here.
I appreciate it, Eli. I look forward to scaling and growing. Keep going, man.
We had a guy named Warren join our real estate photography coaching program last year, and within a number of months, he went from $0 to $15,000 per month. And on this video, he's going to share exactly how he did that and what led him to build his business so quickly and how he was able to actually do that in the first place. Now, what you'll notice is that Warren put in a ton of work and he grew his business very quickly as a result. What I'm not saying here is that you have to model Warren if you want to grow a business. Not everybody needs to grow their business so quickly. And if you're anything like me, you need your sleep, which you'll learn more about in a second when you listen to Warren. And so don't feel the need to feel that you have to do it this fast or not at all. But hopefully this inspires you to see what's possible if you want to spend the next 6 months of your life grinding to build a business that will really help you for the long term. And even if that's not you, I'm sure you'll learn a lot from Warren and what it took him to build his business.
So a little intro about myself. My name is Warren. I'm 23 years old. I graduated college actually this past spring, last year. And then I joined coaching in May, started about May 15th or so, 2023 on my coaching journey into real estate, photo and video. And I presently work nights in the operating room. So I'm in Utah, based in Utah, working in the operating room, doing 40-ish hours at night per week. And I was like, well, you know, I've done headshots. I've done like the run-of-the-mill freelance photography. And I was like, okay, well, I got to choose my niche, found my niche, and here we are today. So with the full-time job, balancing a business is incredibly tough, especially while working nights. I initially actually wasn't working nights. I was working during the day, trying to find some time. I was like, well, how can I serve my realtors? How can I serve the people who are my clients, give them more flexibility, give them more time, and give them more value? And that's where I thought, well, I might have to do a personal sacrifice in order to meet those criteria that I just listed. So I was thinking, well, if I open up my nights, I work my nights, then I have more time during the day to shoot. And it all came down to, one, am I prepared to take that leap and really say, okay, this is all in on my business and this is something that I need to do? And I told myself yes. So I've been working nights the past 6 months in order to make that reality happen. And so as Eli was saying, I got into the coaching program. I was like, well, I need help if I'm really going to go into this. Switch to nights, work nights, did my business during the day. I would literally go from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. working my night shift in the operating room from 7 a.m. to, it was about maybe 7-ish, 8 p.m.-ish if I was doing twilights for summer, and then maybe working until 5 p.m. during the winter months, and then doing that for several days in a row. And I don't recommend it to anybody. It is incredibly tough. However, what I do recommend is to find the things that you really enjoy and really want to do. And if you have to make that sacrifice, And I still had to work a full-time job. I still had to make sure I could provide for the people I care for and also pursue the business side of things. So that was a decision that I was able to make kind of upfront and really commit to myself. And yes, I haven't had sleep for about 5-ish months, 6-ish months since I've been doing that. And that's okay because now I'm coming out of it, because now I'm in a great position in order to do that. So yes, it was a safety net, but it was also a mindset shift. It was taking, can I actually do this? Do I want it enough? And really going all the way and saying, this is the only way it can work. And this is how I'm going to make it work. And it's whatever it takes. It really is whatever it takes. Like if you have that motivation and you have that drive and you have that mentality, like I need to make this work, not because I'm worried, because I'm strong enough to make this work. Like as Eli was saying in the previous session, like having a business isn't like detrimental to anyone. If anything, it helps so many more people. And if you have that capacity, you have that drive, that energy, that enthusiasm, you can really get out there and make a huge difference if and only if you commit to yourself and also commit to those actions that facilitate your success. And like working 24 hours sucks. So don't recommend it. But like go forward with that mentality of really going out and crushing it. Even if you're working 18 hours a day. I was working 24. You guys can do 18. I know you can if you really want to. So, and this is like the beginning stages of the business. Now I'm reeling back. I'm actually quitting my full-time job. I'm quitting nights, saying yes to health, no to nights and not health. And it's fantastic. Like it's looking very up from here, revenue wise, health wise, like everything is going to be fantastic. And in addition to that, I'm not trying to say like, oh, I pride myself, like I'm a hard worker. Like I work hard, but there are things that you just need to really go and not expect the simple 9 to 5. Like there's a way to go above and beyond. You just have to find your means to do so. Mine was switching to nights. Others, it could be working 18 hours a day. Others, it could be cutting out TV time. It could be cutting out these other things that are not working for you and really adapting your mentality and your lifestyle and making time for yourself. You will always have time. And it's making it for yourself and really taking the time that could be wasted and is wasted. Like I still waste time sometimes, you know, everybody does. Everybody loves TV shows, stuff like that. But taking those pinnacle moments and saying no to the easy way out and really taking that and putting into something that is meaningful, that is tough, but is a way to build. And working hard will always pay off. There's always the difference between working hard and working smart. And that's why I, one, wanted to work hard, but also work smart. And that's why I joined coaching. And this is not a plug for coaching because I honestly needed help starting up. I had no idea what a videography or photography business did in general. And I was like, well, I have zero basis. I don't know pricing structure. I don't know the back end. I don't know any of the systems. And that's why I really wanted to like invest in my success. I was like, okay, like honestly, all things considered, this is fantastic for me personally. And it really resonated with me and really told me like, okay, well, this is something if I have help with, I can really make a reality. But yeah, so that's a little bit more on my story. And I also think it is extremely important in this business, in like real estate in general, but especially in real estate photo and video, and in I guess in any business in general, that either your sales rep or yourself has to be incredibly social and influential, social, and extremely likable by all, beloved by all, like all that sort of stuff. Because I mean, if you are, I'm actually by nature an introvert. Like way back in high school, even in college, going into college, I hated presentations. I absolutely despise going up and like talking to people. It's like, oh, like introduce myself to them or have them introduce themselves to me. It was so incredibly tough. My heart would palpate. I would be like cold sweating almost. And I just really had to go above and beyond and get out of my comfort zone, especially for this business. And that's why, one, working nights, gonna have low energy. But if you bring that energy back up, and that's what I did. I attend tons of in-person events, from seminars to open houses to like absolutely everything I can to get my face out there and have like the smiling persona, the enthusiasm, everything going above and beyond to, one, make ends meet, but two, like really put yourself out there. You have to be uncomfortable, and if you are an extrovert, that is fantastic. Like, use that as an asset. I had to turn myself from an introvert into an extrovert and make myself into that asset. So yeah, that's a little bit more on, one, going into the business and how you should be sociable, especially when communicating with your clientele. They don't want someone who's going to be kind of like drawn back and like not communicate, and like make sure everything is, one, in writing, and say what you mean. Like, really keep to your word. That is huge. It is huge. And I mean, on a moral standard too, as well. It's really big to keep your word, but also just in business, everything has to be transparent, from pricing to like, even if you're late to a shoot. Like, I've been late to shoots and it sucks. I got stuck in traffic. There's like a 5-car pile up in front of me, and I had to let them know. But like, hiding from the things that are hard to admit is not going to help anybody. So always going forth with transparency, energy, and enthusiasm are definitely my top 3. So, and also asking for help. Asking for help is like, not only is it helpful on a business level, but it's also helpful on a personal level. Like, my kind of, how should I say it? My common saying when I was talking to realtors and other, even my clients, I'm extremely transparent with them. I said, hey, I'm working my butt off to get this to work. I'm working 40 hours at night in the operating room. Sometimes I'm in the surgical suite. Sometimes I'm in the endoscopy suite. Sometimes I'm elsewhere. Sometimes I'm scrubbed in, stuff like that. And that is my story. That is not like Jack's story. That is not Jane's story. That is my story. And that is something personal to me that I really incorporate into my business, because I'm working nights, but during the day I'm doing listing photo and video. And that's where my passion lies. That's where my business lies. And that's where my clientele lies. And so I'm not just this one, oh, well, I'm kind of in it to be in it and just take a chance on me. Like, I have a story behind it. 5-10 years down the line, I want to provide for my kids, you know? And that's also what I'm leading with, because previously I was entirely invested in medicine. I actually have my scrubs still on. And because I got off work, went straight to a shoot and then hopped on the call. And it's really taking from the medical perspective. And I was like, well, I don't want to be the absent father type. I want to make sure I can be there and provide for my kids and like help raise them. Like, of course, not all medical professionals have that type of life, like say a select few, but even still, the common concept is to, one, ask for more time with your kids and try to get off as early as you can, stuff like that. I said no to that lifestyle, and that's why my trajectory took that fork in the road and is definitely way different than it was 7-ish months ago when I started. So, and also kind of going along with that concept, one, having a personal story. It can be so many different things, but definitely have a personal story. So, one, you can relate to your clientele, to friends, family, clients, realtors, absolutely, like anyone you encounter, because they'll resonate with the story. Not with, it's not your brand, it's not your label, it's not like 123 Main Street Photography. It is you. And that's why I take my story and I incorporate it into my business, because everyone has been there. The realtors have been there. They didn't just jump into real estate and start making $1 million a year, right? They really had to take it slow, have that full-time job. And with people who have the full-time job and trying to make this work, this is the message to you. Like, yes, it can work, and it will work as long as you put in the consistency, put in the time, put in the effort, change your mindset from, can I do this, to, yes, I absolutely can do this. Like, there's so many other people who have. Why would I be the outlier who cannot do this? So, and then also some more tips on the social aspect is be noticed, be approachable. And that kind of ties into the extrovert, like making yourself into that extrovert and drawing yourself out from, oh, well, I want to hide and not really do this, to like be shameless about it. Like be very direct. And I mean, maybe read the room at an open house. If now's not the time to announce your services, now's not the time. Just like tour it out. But like be noticed, be approachable, and really give off that vibrant aura of enthusiasm, smiling, and like trying to bring everybody together. Because that's exactly how I try to be at events, and it works every time. Like I'll go to events like several times a week. It's either open houses, webinars, seminars, even in-person events that I even pay for or sponsor for. And if I'm given a chance to speak and interact with people, like that is heart and core to me, like some of the best interactions with my clients ever, and even potential clients. So really get out there, try to be noticed, be approachable and enthusiastic, and also just convey that nice message of happiness. And in addition to that, because people are seeing you for who you are, you're already creating a brand around who you are, why your business is how it is. And if people can trust you and you're transparent back to them, they can trust your business. It goes both ways. So, but in addition to that, it's just really fantastic to take yourself and put yourself into that uncomfortable zone. And I've had to do that for the past 6 months, kind of reiterating my full-time job that I'm leaving here shortly. And it took a lot of, it was scary. Like putting in my 2 weeks was incredibly frightening. I was like, well, am I actually going to do this? I've been making 10K plus for the past several months. I've hit 15K, so I know it works. But I was still scared of giving up this 4K a month job. And like kind of talking about it a little bit more, I'm like, well, this doesn't really make sense. Like why am I trading my time, my health, and my efforts for something that, one, is little return, but also just simply unhealthy for me personally. Like I know other people can do nights and have no problem, but maybe not 24 hours, you know. So, but this is something I'm really proud of. Like I really had to dig deep and ask myself to commit to that for over half a year. And now I'm really proud of the brand that I created, the image I've created, taking myself from the introvert, making an extrovert, and making myself into an asset that I didn't think would be possible prior to any of this, honestly. Like 8 months ago, I was prepping for the MCAT. I was ready to go to medical school. I had a full ride to undergrad. I had a fully paid off master's and then medical school. But I was like, is this it? Is this what I need? Is this what I want? And ultimately that question is no. Even though I had everything gearing me toward a surgical residency and anesthesia residency that I so dearly wanted, like it's just not the path for me. And that is incorporated into my story, into my brand. And that's really what also keeps me going. I'm like, well, if this didn't work out, if I didn't even find any of this, I'd still be on that path to, one, not having enough time to spend with my kids or family. And it just doesn't speak to me. And in addition to that, having discipline over motivation is crucial, because so many times from month 0 to month, I think it's about like 7-ish or so, from month 0 to month 7, I have contemplated so many times about quitting, no matter how hard I've worked. I thought, well, like I don't even know this is for me. I got incredible imposter syndrome. And I kept thinking to myself, is this able to happen? Can I make this work? I see so many other people doing this and having such success, and I didn't see that success. Like in hindsight, I have and currently am succeeding, but it's like always not enough. And that motif always comes up time and time again. I see someone else's success. I'm like, oh my gosh, why is this not my success too? And I have fallen victim to that jealousy of business, like looking at someone else's position, the grass is greener on the other side of the fence as opposed to my side. But it is always a competition against oneself. And that's what the coaches have always reiterated to me. It's like, you're not looking at someone else's market. You're not looking at even the competitors in your market. It's always a you versus you. And that's the mindset thing that sets so many successful business owners like apart from the people who are competing for the money or competing for like business that's up for grabs and competing against each other, when in all honesty, like collaboration is fantastic. There are several rep members in my area who have been like here for way longer than I have. And so it might be intimidating to go into an industry where it's like, well, there's already people there. Like, where can I like occupy this niche and not be like weeded out? And you can absolutely yes, because you have a story, I have a story, and you have a goal, and I have a goal. And like just building that and saying yes to yourself as opposed to saying no to others is immensely more beneficial for you in the long term and the short term than it is to just be like having that quitting mindset. So honestly, just build a brand that you're proud of and have that discipline over like little bits of motivation, because you can always like take someone's success and apply it to your business and say, hey, that was really cool, I want to apply it here. And that's what I've taken from multiple businesses around me. I've seen so many successes and such vast success. I'm like, well, that is awesome, and I want that for myself, and I can create that for myself despite having to work 40 hours at night, despite having to stay up for more than 24 hours on end. Like, I can definitely do this. And because I've been doing all of these difficult things already, I know I have the capacity to go up there. So I'll also touching a little bit more on motivation and doing absolutely everything to make things work and do whatever it takes. Like, motivation will always come in little bits, but discipline is always a constant. And that's for the last 6 months. I said my health went from 100%. I was going to compete in men's physique like this spring, and I had to forego that personal goal in order to facilitate the business. And like, yes, that's not ideal, but it was something that I was willing and apt and able to give up in order to reach where I am today. And now coming out of the job, I can definitely go back and rebuild myself, go compete, stuff like that. Because that's like something on a personal level, you know? You shouldn't have to quit the things that you enjoy doing in order to reach that level of success that you're thinking. But you might have to dial them back a little bit in order to make that time from watching TV, video games, or just like any extraneous activity that's not serving your business, and turn that into a business active time, working on your business, not just going to photo shoots, but working on your business. So motivation will light the fire, but discipline will always keep it going. So that's a motive to always live by. And touching again a little bit more on the comparisons, like it's a huge downfall. It is a huge downfall. And the coaches have told me time and time again, like, please do not compare yourself to others, but it's by human nature. And I still do it. I literally did it yesterday. I did it today. I'm like, but I'm human, everyone is, and everyone has their certain assets that are fantastic and they're great at them, and others have a different set. We're all played out with different sets, and that's okay. But what it boils down to is really doing whatever it takes, and like indulge in the struggle. Like in the moment, it is tough. It is so hard. It is incredibly tough. But if you indulge in the struggle at like that 10,000 foot view, when you're looking back, when you have risen 10 feet, you will definitely have all these stories to recount. Like I will look back on the past 6 months, probably a year and a half to 2 years from now, and say, well, I'm so happy that I took that leap to go into nights, to sacrifice so much in order to make it to where I am today. And I honestly think myself still now, I'm still in the job, for even going so far as to doing that and risking my health and so many other aspects of life in order to make this possible. And we only have 24 hours within a day. And I had the day packed from shoots to shoot to shoot to driving to doing my shift at night to eating, and then just having that be all within 24 hours and still being awake, and then do that again the next day and then the next day. So many people will make excuses as to, oh, well, that's unhealthy. You really shouldn't be doing that. Like, but they're not me. Don't let someone else tell you what to do. Yes, I understand that it's tough and it's so hard on the body, and I get that. I came from a medical profession. I had an emphasis in anatomy and physiology and how the body works. I know it's awful. I know it's like one of the worst things you can do to your body, but I still did it for 6 months, and I'm still making the business as I am today, and it's growing. So really being able to crank down, have that discipline, have those little pieces of motivation that feed in those wins will definitely help you in the long run and in the short term, but in the long term for sure.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you're anything like me, you're probably a little bit tired after listening to that, and that is okay because you don't have to do that level of just all in to build a business successfully. Yeah, maybe if you don't, you won't grow as quickly, but that's okay. Everybody has their own timeline, and it's not important that you match everybody else's. This video just goes to show you what's possible if you're all in and committed, and that's definitely what Warren is. So big congrats to Warren. And if you'd like to learn more about our coaching program, the same program that Warren was in, you'll see the link down below where you can apply and talk to Rod, Carl, or Philippe on my team. I'll see you in the next one. So I got a DM out of the blue the other day from Jack, as you can see sitting here next to me. And I'm going to read the DM before we jump into this because it was super awesome. And it was, hey, Eli, just want to say thanks a ton for this course. Bought it 3 years ago and I was able to make over $100K income the past few years. And I just sold my business for $340,000 a couple weeks ago. My wife and I are now going to travel the world for a year. Thank you for all the help. It was invaluable. So on social, like many of you scrolling, I get that DM. It was super cool because we get a ton of people asking in my DMs about buying a business, about selling it in real estate media. And we've seen people do that, but we've never been able to actually speak to someone who has. And so when I got this DM, I was like, we have to do that. So anyway, Jack, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and if you would just dive into like the life cycle of your business, when you started it, and then, you know, kind of concluding with selling it.
Yeah, I would love to. So 4 years ago, I started a social media marketing agency where I was managing social media for different businesses, restaurants, gyms, doing content creation. And then I came upon one of my clients was interested in having us shoot. She owned a restaurant, but then also was a luxury real estate agent, and she asked if we could start shooting her properties. And I quickly saw, like, man, this is an amazing industry to be in. It's much more clear, like cut and dry and replicable than just doing content for anyone. And then through YouTube, I came upon REPP and started the course. And it was really cool because I had been honestly fluctuating between like 2 to 6K a month for a year. And then I went through your course. I went through your course in like a week, and I started DMing like immediately. And within a month, I was at 10K a month, 1 month after that. And so I was just like blown away. I was like, this is amazing. This is the route I want to go. So went exclusively into real estate media, and kind of left behind all the other stuff. And then over the last 3 years, we've grown. It was just me, and we got to a really good point of revenue that I was really happy with, and I was taking home like everything, but my hair was on fire, and I was like, this is just insane. And so started hiring editors, and then started hiring other shooters as well. And the team kind of grew over time. And eventually I began to think, man, maybe I could turn this into a real business, and maybe I could even someday sell it. And so we shifted from contractors to W-2 employees, and we had part-time W-2 employees. And I really tried to shift everything from all the clients knowing me as the brand to trusting in the process and the experience of working with our company. And then we were able to hire a project manager who did all the customer service, who was kind of our front facing person. So then clients weren't even really talking to me as much, which is what allows the business to become sellable when you have something that is a self-sustainable vehicle. And so about 6 months ago, I decided to list the business for sale on bizbuysell.com. There's just a website where you can buy and sell businesses.
It's a really cool website, by the way, for everybody watching, like go check it out. But anyway.
Yeah, really cool. And there's so many there's like thousands and thousands of businesses on there. So I just made a listing. And I was astounded actually with how many people reached out. One really cool thing about our business is we're a mission focused business, or a for cause business, where our editors are hired coming out of human trafficking and out of difficult circumstances over in Southeast Asia. And so that was an attractive piece that also is built. Our team mission has kind of been built around that. But I got like 50 people reaching out to me with interest in my business. And so I just started setting up interviews, have them sign NDAs, send financials. And then 6 months ago, we found this amazing couple that was interested in buying. And the process took about 6 or 7 months to finally get to the point of closing. But now I'm stoked to say that we finally closed on the sale of the business.
That's so awesome. I have like a million questions, I guess, but the first one, 6 or 7 months is not bad for selling a business. So for everybody out there, like that's a pretty good timeline. Especially, and is this your first business that you've sold?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty incredible on its own. The buyers, were they coming from real estate media, or were they just someone that was, wanting to start a business or buy a business, I guess?
Yeah, they were just wanting to buy a business. One of them has some photography experience. They both have a lot of business experience, actually, but they didn't have any real estate media experience, and they were specifically interested in that cause component, but really just on buying a business that seemed to be in a field that they were interested in. So
so you mentioned that you started thinking about, maybe I could sell this business. Is there something that like started that thought? Was it just, hey, I've done what I wanted to here, the money would be cool and I can do something else? Or like, how did that come to be?
My long-term dream is to have a camp and retreat center. And so I never thought I would have this forever. And then I got married a year ago, and my wife and I have kind of talked about spending a year traveling and doing service work all over the world. And so as we were deciding to do that, I was like, you know what, I'll just see if I can sell the business. And that's how we got there.
Nice. That's the cool thing too. I think, one thing that's under realized probably is that, that there's a difference between a job that pays well and a business that pays well, because you can't sell the job, right? And so even if you don't go into it like you did thinking, hey, I'm going to sell this, like you're actually building an asset that is worth something to somebody else. And so it gives you have the flexibility of owning a business, right? You also have the flexibility of exiting that business. Not saying that's going to be an easy process, but it is there. So I think just knowing that is something you can do. And also, the same thing as you can sell the business, you could pass it to somebody, you could pass it. Like there's so many options that I think are super cool. When you sold your business, what was like the approximate revenue and profit? And like, how did you figure out a sale price that you would be willing to take for it?
Yeah. So this last year, I mean, if you're in real estate media, you know how hard it's been this past year of 2023. So 2022, we ended at about 275K revenue. I was taking a 50K salary, and we had a 100K profit on top of that. So originally when I made the post, I did it off of, there's EBITDA, which is how earnings before interest. You may know this better than me.
Yeah,
earnings,
taxes, depreciation, something. Anyway, your profit, basically.
Yeah, this is
your owner's
how much
profit.
money. How much money is able to be taken out of this business at the end of the day? And so I was at 100K profit over my salary. If I were to hire someone into my position, I would need to pay them 50K, but then there would still be 100K. And so I went off a 5 multiple. And so I listed it actually originally at 500,000. And we did actually get into the contract higher than I sold at 450,000. However, this past year, our revenue, even though our client base and our number of agents that we worked with grew 30%, we did still less revenue. So our business went down a little bit. Because of that, we ended up closing at 340,000. But we still did. I mean, we still ended up relatively similar to the year before, just a bit lower.
Yeah. Well, it's cool too, because I mean, you got to achieve your goal. I would say that 2024 is looking very positive for real estate.
Yes.
Your buyers got in at a good time. So everybody's happy, you know?
Yeah.
That's how it goes. So yeah, I mean, typically what we've heard is people are getting a 3x multiple on the, owner's comp, however you want to define that. So I think that's pretty well within the reason there. What was your team at that point? Like, so first of all, if you're doing 300-ish grand a year, slightly under that, and your owner's comp is 150, that's a pretty well-run business just for everybody watching. Like 50% margin as you scale is good. When you're a solo operator, 50% is trash, right? You want more than that. But when you scale, that's a good margin. So like, what did the team look like at that point?
Yeah, so we had four part-time photographer videographers.
Okay.
We were also working in 2 different locations. So we started working in another city, and I was going back and forth between them. And then we had one project manager who was pretty much available full-time, but also had another job. It worked out really well because they were working another job, so we were able to pay lower and do a per project payment.
Yeah.
So we had project manager, photographer, videographers. Then we had a team of editors. We had 2 photo editors and then about 5 video editors.
Okay.
And 1 VA who was helping me do the outreach for sales.
Nice. Yeah, the part-time team thing is great for maintaining margins, because it's like in busy season, as you know, full-time W2 can be great, but then you pay for it in off season. And so that's what we've switched to at Norman Young as well, and a lot more margin there. Okay, so anything you did, not necessarily wrong, but maybe is there anything about the process you wish you would have known or were more unaware of?
I mean, it's going to be ideal if you can find a buyer who's able to buy all cash. I didn't have that option. The best people that I felt like, because I really care about my business. I really care about all the people that I've just gotten to pour into and build this for and provide jobs for. So I really wanted owners that were going to operate in a similar way to me. So I was actually really vetting for quality people. And the people that I found that were the best, they needed to get an SBA loan. And that's really what kind of slowed down our whole process and made it really difficult. And then also actually lowered the price point because they needed to get a separate business valuation. And the valuation came out super low. So then we had to have some honest conversations and come to what felt like a fair point for everyone. So I think that was the only thing, but there is a good amount to the whole transition process. But
I guess on the transition, well, first of all, on the SBA loan thing, that is like a very typical way people buy businesses. So I'd imagine they put 20-ish% down maybe, and then finance the rest.
10. I think they put 10% down. Yeah,
incredible.
And then I did give a seller note as well. I gave a 25K seller note.
Okay, so like maybe combined, they put in 20%. And that's the cool thing about the SBA is they allow you to carry the down payment, sort of, right? Like you can carry, which is kind of cool. So for anybody out there that's like, maybe I will buy a business, that's an option. You don't have to have $340,000 in cash to be able to, dump into the business. So anyway, so that you go through the process, you close on the business. I would imagine there was some like handoff or transition period. Is that true? And how did that work?
Yeah. We actually just did about 2 weeks of training. So We were fast. On, yeah, it was fast, but we had also been doing calls beforehand. We had built, honestly, like a friendship. I feel like friends with the new owners. And so they had been learning beforehand. And then we just really grinded for about 2 weeks. I flew to where they were. And we spent some days in person and then a lot over Zoom training. And I had built out training for different positions and roles, and I have tons of videos that I've made for each of the roles for training. So we did that, and then we did some transitions where I communicated with all the employees. We held a meeting for everyone to meet the new owners. And then we've kind of continued, just because there's so many little things and questions of, oh, hey, what about this account, or this password isn't working, or something like that. So there has, even after we finished the 2 weeks, I've continued to just help out a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. 2 weeks is fast, but I understand that doing it ahead of time, that makes a lot of sense. There's something that, I think is a principle that really plays out that I'm curious of your take on, but the process of getting a business that is sellable kind of goes along the lines with the process of building a business that's scalable. So it's like, it's not two different directions, right? Like you're doing the same things. And how does that make sense to you? Is that something you agree with?
Yes, I totally agree, because I was actually just trying to set things up so that it could work while I traveled, so that it was self-sustainable. But that's also exactly what you need to do to be able to sell it. And what I told the new owners, because in transitioning, I was only working like 15, 20 hours a week for the last couple months, because I was getting ready to do the same if it didn't sell while I traveled. And what I told the new owners is basically, your main thing for you guys to do is sales. Like if you want to grow this, it's a sustainable model right now. Yeah, you'll need to manage the team and everything. But if you can just pump sales, you can really grow this.
Yeah, I mean, you did, frankly, the hard work of building the systems and, getting everything in place, establishing the brand. So that's super cool. So kind of, I guess, to finish, there's going to be two different types of people watching this, right? So there's going to be the people that are doing, 10K plus a month, maybe even 5K. They've established a business. They're starting to grow it. Any advice for them? Because you started, grew, and sold like in a pretty compressed time frame, which is super cool. And so you did things right in that sense, 100%. Any advice for someone like at 10 or 15K a month in revenue that wants to scale their business so that they have the choice to either sell or operate remotely, or take some time back in their day? Like, any advice to those people?
Yeah, I would say first hire editors. If you're like on fire, you're doing everything. I mean, it's awesome when you're doing that and you're seeing all this money come into your bank and you're just like, it's all profit. It's like crazy. But hire editors and then hire contract shooters that can start taking some of the shoots. And then somewhere along the way, hire a project manager once you feel like you have a team figured out, and switch the shooters over to W2, part-time W2.
Yeah.
That's kind of I think that's the route that I went. And I think it works really well, because you don't have to fully jump the gun and like pay someone $60,000 a year and be super scared. It kind of allows you to do it in steps and to transition, but you really need to shift. You need to shift your clients from trusting in you to trusting in your company and your brand. And so even little things like having, t-shirts and making sure that your project manager becomes the one who is following up with them and making sure that they're having a good experience. So then they begin to trust in this process, because what you're going to sell and what you're going to scale is a process. It's not yourself.
You know what's funny about going through that? So like, we took a little different route with Norman and Young. The same, ultimate conclusion. We have W2 staff, we have a full-time project manager, and we have a leadership team of Jared and Trent. And the best part about that process is it seems very scary to do that when you're at 10K a month revenue. But now it seems so scary to not have that. I'm like, I can't imagine being the only person again. It sounds horrible.
I know.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like there's quotes around this, but it's like the thing you're most scared of is the thing that you most need to do usually. And so just thinking about it in that way is super cool. Like, I'm sure you can't imagine, like, the profit's great when it's all you. awesome. Maybe stay there 6 months and build up some savings if you don't have any. But like, once you get past that phase, it just gets easier, right? Like there's things that are more challenging. You have to manage people, but that's also a thing that it's exciting to do and you get to create jobs. And so there's so much ahead of where you are if you do it right and kind of like face those fears. So on the other side, someone like just starting their business, they don't believe they're even a real estate photographer yet. They're like excited about the industry. They have imposter syndrome. They can't even imagine selling their business in the future, letting alone start. Like, what's your advice for that person like just getting started?
Oh, just send it. Basically, just like put yourself out there. Like I remember when I did my first, I DM'd a bunch of people, and actually the first shoot that I did solo was a $4 million lakefront property. And I went on the shoot. I was so nervous, and I didn't even have a camera backpack. I just had like a pile of equipment in my hands because I had a stabilizer, my camera, tripod, 3D camera, all this stuff. But just like learn a ton and then just start going, because the worst that happens is you make a mistake, you don't do super well on the shoot, person's not that satisfied, you can refund them, you can be like, hey, I'm so sorry, I'll come back and shoot it for free. But you basically just have to really start putting yourself out there and working through that fear. And it's amazing to see, you know, just especially if you're able to be personable with the people and give good customer service, how far that will go, even if you're not necessarily as good yet as the other people in the market.
Yeah, it's something we talk about quite often, is that it's just not the product you're delivering that grows your business. It's the relationship, like you said, and that starts with, you have to reach out and establish the relationship, and then you have to maintain it by being an easy person to work with and being accommodating. And so, that's amazing. We were, I was on a coaching call yesterday, and a guy asked a question. He was like, I'm really scared to send the first DM because I'm not quite ready yet. So what if they book a full package? And I was like, I hope that your first DM, someone books a full package for Thursday, and this was on Tuesday. I was like, because mysteriously you'll have it figured out by Thursday. Yeah. And it's just all about getting in there and getting your feet wet. So absolutely love that. I guess last question is, I would imagine it was a pretty good day when the business closed. It sounds like a fun experience. Like, can you speak to that at all, what that felt like?
Yeah. Well, it's funny actually, because when I first found out that it was going to fully go through, because it became questionable throughout the whole lending process. When I first found out that it was going to go through, I actually felt sad. I was like, whoa, I'm going to miss this. Like, I've loved doing this. I've loved the team that we've grown, and I actually felt sad. But by the time we came to the day, it was crazy. It was like I was stoked. It was crazy to have the funds wired, and it was like, wow, this is real. I just sold a business. I can't even believe it.
Such a cool experience, and something you'll be able to, you know, share with people forever. It's inspiring, you know, like it's awesome to have a business and own a business, but there's something I think that feels like, you know, mysterious a little bit about selling. It's like this pie in the sky thing that doesn't actually happen. And so, Jack, thank you so much for your time and for being willing to share, and just safe travels as you go wherever you're headed next.
Thanks so much, Eli. Thanks for having me.
I have Jacob Way here for you today. Jacob's an awesome guy who started his business in January with no camera experience. And since then, the time of filming this, it's the end of June 2024. So about 6 months later, has built his business from $0 a month to over $15K per month. So absolutely has crushed it. And I brought him on today to talk about things that he did differently. So hopefully you can get value and grow as fast as possible. Yeah, I guess the first thing is just walk through how you got into this business, what interested you in real estate media, and just kind of give me the story of your business, and then I'll dive in.
Yeah, so I guess I was working 50, 60 hours a week away from home. I'd been doing it the last 5 years, and I was working at a power plant. So money was kind of unlimited out there, but it got to the point where they were making you request Saturdays off and stuff. I only got to see my girlfriend for 2 days of the week, and then my family was also in a whole other direction, so I was kind of just out there the last 5 years grinding. And then I was at the power plant kind of talking to buddies. We were trying all these side hustles. Like we were trying like the whole Forex trading, we were trying Amazon FBA, we were kind of trying everything and buying all these courses. And then a guy came to work and he's like, have you ever seen this guy on Instagram? His name's Eli. So I started watching your stuff, And I was like, I love Instagram. I love real estate. And like you say, you can learn photography. And you were always saying like the people who are kind of most coachable are the ones that don't know the photography and know the business side or want to know more about the business side. So I was like, this is the program for me. And I took it. And I found the biggest thing compared to all the other coaching or like, I guess I never took coaching, but all the other courses I took, you were really good at keeping the video short and sweet, where a lot of them would be like 30, 45 minutes long. And you're kind of falling asleep like 20 minutes into the video, where yours were like 3 to 5 minutes every single video. So it just kept you engaged because then you would have to go to the next one and go to the next one. So that's
so interesting. That's how it's funny. I built it that way. I think out of my own personal like shortcoming, I just lose track. Like my attention stops after a couple minutes. So I'm like, I'm going to try to build that for people like me. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Keep at it.
No, and like that's kind of what won it for me, because all the other programs I couldn't make it through, and I made it through your program in like a pretty quick time just because of the layout. And then I was like, no, this is like exactly what I was looking for. And yeah, it just got to the point where being away from home was not the priority anymore. Spending time with my friends and family was a priority. So I bought a house, which was pretty crazy to do for the first time right before going all in on a business. It has like put the pressure on me, because it's like, this is kind of do or die, or I'm going back away from everyone. I was like, that's the last thing I want to do. So
yeah. So how long ago was it that you started this business in the first place?
I guess like I picked up my first camera, and well, I bought the camera, I think maybe like 6 months before January, when I actually started coaching, but I could never find time to use it because I was working the 50, 60 hours, and then the other little bit I was with my girlfriend or my family. So I kind of went all in January and just said like, this is it. And
so it's at the time of filming this, so January, February, March, April, May, June. So you're about 6-ish months into it. You went from no experience to $4,000+ weeks, 15K plus month. Obviously it fluctuates up and down. Like the reason I put it that way is because you grew really fast. Like most people don't do that. And so I like to talk to people who did, is like, okay, what did you do? So you followed, the roadmap. You're in coaching. I don't want to attribute any of that to coaching. I want to attribute it to what you did. So what about it do you think set you up to be successful?
I know you don't want to attribute any of it to coaching, but like I followed kind of word for word what the roadmap said, and then joining all the calls. I think Matt's call was a big one, where he was like, it's all about how many people you're reaching out to. And like, when I had slow weeks, I was like, this is kind of on me. I stopped doing the Instagram method last week. So then that week I would do like 20 a day, which was like a little too much to handle. But when I was doing 20 a day, my next week would be packed. So then it kind of showed me like the Instagram method works, but it's completely on you. Like the weeks I didn't do any was because I was just so busy with shooting and like learning the business, and like you would allot out a time slot to do the Instagram method, and then your Matterport would go wrong or something would go wrong. You're like talking to editors and you're just like, oh man, there went my Instagram method time. But like when I really started seeing that it's kind of just on you and the amount of people you're willing to outreach to. And I was always thinking I needed to cold call, I needed to get into Facebook, like I needed to do all these other things. And it's like I had everything right in front of me. I just needed to do more of it.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest like personal failings, I think, when I was first starting, and why we try to be so laser focused is like, I think it's a general thing in the business world. You just see all these things you could do and you're like, I need to do a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. And I know you know this, but for everybody listening, like I think one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of small business owners make at the start is they try to do too much of everything rather than like, hey, out of all these things I could do, what's the most effective, and then go all in on that. And I think, that what you said that stuck out to me from my perspective, having get to coach a lot of people and see people build their businesses, it's like you just actually did the work. So like that's the separating factor, is you stayed consistent. I'm sure there was weeks where you were slow and you didn't do much, but overall I think you just moved through stuff. And that's like the thing. It's not, I think a lot of times people overcomplicate how hard building a business is. Like it's not that hard. You just have to, it's not no work. But what a lot of people do wrong is they try to do too much stuff. Like I think doing less but one thing is kind of the secret.
Yeah, I agree. Because I'll never forget too. I used to come into like every call on Mondays being like, I have to get into content. That's the only way I'm going to build this business properly because all the agents around me keep asking for headshots, lifestyle photos, and content. And eventually I just forgot about that stuff. And I'm like, I don't need any of that to build this business. Like you've said to me many times, it's my choice if I want to get into that one day, but you don't need it to build a successful real estate business. If you want to venture out that way and like, I'm not even going to say add extra money because like if you just put the focus into the real estate, you can get that extra money in what you're already doing. But I just remember always thinking I need to get into this like venture to succeed in this business. And it's like you just got to focus on the one thing that's kind of right in front of you and you'll get there.
It's hard for a lot of people that are interested in business, especially I think, because like the type of people that are want to do a lot. I mean, I want to do a lot, right? I see all this stuff, I'm like, ooh, that'd be a cool way to do it. That'd be a cool way. What do you think it was for you that made you just not? Like, I know we said it, and what made you listen, I guess?
Well, so I started getting a lot of traction, first of all. And now once you started getting traction, you realize you didn't really have time to start learning something new. And like when you're already learning what you're doing, because again, I hadn't picked up a camera before January. So I was already learning so much. So that was one thing. And then I had talked to a couple of people who I knew I met through the Facebook group and whatnot. And they were the reason I kind of thought I had to do the content. And they're like, we've pretty much dropped the content. We don't have time for that right now. And I was just like, the people who made me think I needed it were no longer doing it because they didn't have time for it. And then I'm like, yeah, you really don't need to be doing all this other stuff. Like you can stick to one avenue and succeed as long as you just keep grinding, doing more outreach and whatnot. But you're just hungry for any money at first. That's the problem. When
Yes, that's what it is.
You're just like, I see people offering me money to do this and that. So you like want to take it and try to do it, but then it's not going to be good because you really don't know what you're doing anyway. So it's going to be like a one-time payment and they're probably not going to come back to you.
Yeah, because you're not going to be good because you just don't have that. You're not like, that's not your thing. It's funny because like the advice that works in general in any business is always niche down, right? So, photographers, a lot of the ones that suffer that are photographers, they're not coming in for the business. They shoot weddings, portraits, events, like they do everything. And so it's like, okay, stage one of getting more successful is doing less, just real estate. And then like the second stage is staying focused with just the real estate and not doing all that you could in real estate even. So it's a lesson that's like so common in the business world that I struggled to take so much, which is it's always better to niche down more. Like there's never a time when it isn't. So even with your business, with Norman and Young, my business, we just do real estate media, the basic stuff. Yeah. We've tried the other stuff because we, make bad decisions too, right? Like we've tried branding that other stuff. It just doesn't ever add to the core focus and what we're really good at. It always comes at a cost. It's just such a hard lesson to learn. Like I mean, you did it. I didn't do it. Like I tried everything at the start. It's interesting. I guess pivoting a little bit, what do you see as the future for your business? Like, do you want to scale and hire a team? Like, what's the vision for the future for you?
Yeah, so I want to kind of scale as quick as possible, but not being too quick, obviously. I joined this business to spend more time with my family and friends, and I feel like I've done the opposite of that in the last 6 months. And I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I was going to come into this and it was going to be easy. Like I more than understand why not everyone does this. And I've heard of people being afraid to hire photographers because they're going to take over their business or market. Like they don't want to do the invoicing, dealing with clients. Like there's so much more than just shooting in a day. Yeah. And a lot of people out there just want to shoot from their 9 to 5 and go home at the end of the day. So I definitely want to scale because I feel like for myself, I love the business aspect. I love running numbers. I love talking to people and fixing issues and kind of like managing a company and people. Like, so for me, that's definitely a goal, but I also know I don't want to do it too quickly. So markets are up and down and slow season. Like I should almost try to just see what slow season's truly like. I know by next busy season, I could hopefully have one person with me, but I got to see what's
But
going
you're
on.
smart to take it slow. There's a quote that's like, more businesses die of indigestion than starvation. And so I think it's good to go slow. It's interesting too, like one of the nice things about owning a business is that you do have options. What a lot of people do wrong though is they don't remember that. So like you got into the business, you said it perfectly. You wanted more time for stuff that wasn't work, and then you quickly build this business that makes great money, but then you're like, wait a second, like the reason I got into this business is not what I have. And so the nice part is, but you can fix that, you know what I mean? Like you can hire people to fix that, you can take less jobs. So it's like, it's nice because it gives you a little bit more control, which is what I like about having a business. So there was times at Norman and Young where my goal was just to make as much money as possible. So I worked a lot, right? And now, I mean, I want to spend time in this other business, and I don't work at all in Norman and Young. And I make less money from it, but I still make money. And I don't know, it's just cool to have that. I think that's like the biggest thing for me about owning a business is you get to decide, because your goals change too. Like sometimes in the short term, hey, I want to make more money now. Sometimes in the long term, you're like, 6 months later, that's not the focus anymore, and you can kind of pivot it. So that's pretty cool. People just getting into this business, any recommendations for them on how to make the most of it? How could like someone grow quickly? Like if you had a friend that was getting into this, what advice would you give them if they're first starting like you were?
Well, I guess first off, you got to put in the work. Don't jump to too many methods. Like just do the Instagram method and stick to real estate photography until your Instagram method's dried out. I would say like I think I followed maybe 1,000 people. I'm going to say my Instagram's not dried out until I've followed like 3,000 to 5,000 people. So like I got so much more to go before I even need to look at different avenues. And I guess another big one, which I'm still working on every day, is don't worry and don't critique your product so much. Kind of let the agents think for you rather than you thinking for them, because every agent's different as well. So that means you're different than every agent. So something you might not like, they might really like, because I'll have a video that I think is amazing and the agent will hate it. And then I'll have a video I think is absolutely terrible and the agent will love it. So it's kind of like everybody's just so different, and kind of stick to one thing and don't.
It's funny because on the product critique thing, so like everybody in this business initially struggles with that because you want to deliver a product that's going to make your clients happy. So like you overcheck your photos, you overcheck your video. The funny thing is with what you said, it doesn't matter how much time you spend doing that. It doesn't actually change the amount of people that like it or dislike it. It's just like, because you don't know, there's a story I've told a lot, but I got photos back or email back after sending photos to a client, and they were like, it was like 10 shoots in with them. And they said, there's a bunch of problems with the photos. They were very unhappy. And so you get that sometimes. So before I called them though, I looked at the photos and I went through all of them and I made a list of all the things that I thought were wrong with the photos. And then I called them back and I was like, I see what you're saying, but tell me which, and the list that she had and the list that I had zero overlap. Like it was so funny, and it's why the story stuck with me and kind of changed how I thought about things. But mine was like, the verticals aren't straight. This room's too yellow. I don't like this composition. And hers were, no kidding, there's dog poop in the yard. There's a hole punched in either the door in the bedroom or the closet or something like that, right? And like she wanted that stuff. Oh, and the third one was there was stuff all over the dryer and washer in the laundry room. And I was like, wait a second, like my idea of what was wrong with the photos and hers were completely different. And so it's just so funny how much time people waste. Maybe funny is not the right word, but they waste so much time doing stuff thinking that it makes the clients like the photos better when it's not what they're even gonna want. So it's just like, and I'm sure you would agree with this, but it's almost better to have an issue and fix it well than never have an issue, because your clients actually like you better when you fix their issues well. Like it's like better service.
That happened to me at the start a lot. Like I thought issues were the worst things ever, and then it's like the clients love the way you dealt with the issue, so that's why they ended up coming back with you. And that's I guess something else I would tell somebody just starting out is it's impossible to please everybody. I'm still learning that as well, but like you can do things perfectly textbook to a T and there'll still be people unhappy. It's just the way the market, or like the way it is. There's no way, especially when you get to high volume, you're gonna have hiccups, you're gonna have mistakes. It's just like there's no way to please everyone.
Yeah, and the nice thing is too, I think
generally real estate agents are great people to work with. So I enjoy that. And in any market, you're going to have those issues and stuff you have to do. I guess speaking of issues, last question for you. Did your competition scare you at the start, or what were I know a lot of people are like so worried about it. So like, what were your honest thoughts about that then and now?
Yeah, so you're never gonna realize how many media companies there are till you get into it. Like I was like, maybe there's 5 around me. There's probably 500 around me. Like it's insane how many media companies there are. But then you kind of hear the reasons these agents aren't going back to the companies, and you're just like, that's ridiculous. Like just things like I get a lot again that agents won't touch anything or media people won't touch anything in a house for legal liabilities, even though we all know it's just laziness because you can move a Kleenex box or whatever you need. And just like, I know a really big company out here, he started hiring and then he just kind of started sending agents to his new hire. And I'm like, this guy doesn't have a back end like Spiro or HD Photo Hub or something to like help them divvy out the work instead of just sending agents to somebody totally new. And it's just like all these little problems that could be fixed so easily, especially if you check in on your clients and try to message people that have left you.
You just gotta care. Like if you just care about your clients, it's crazy how much farther ahead that gets you. Because a lot of companies, I think they've been in the business a while, they get kind of jaded and they're like, a lot of people think they're at odds with their clients, like it's a win-loss thing, and that attitude just never. We have one client, just to give you a ridiculous example. You may have heard this one specifically, Jacob, but we got a big builder client because the last photographer refused to shoot the house if the air conditioning wasn't on. And these were like new construction homes where they weren't always done. And it was like, all right, there's 10K a year for us because this guy wouldn't go in there. And we had another one where the guy saw a fox in the backyard and then just refused to shoot the backyard. I was like, it's a fox, like it's gone. It is just funny. It's like, those are obviously, extreme examples, but it's just, if you're accommodating and you care for your clients and you do things that show them that, you get, not only do you keep those clients, you get a ton of referrals. Do you get a lot of referrals? Are you starting to get those at this point? I know you're still early in the process, but.
Yeah, I've definitely got a few. I got to get into brokerage presentations here shortly because I'm starting to shoot for enough agents at one brokerage that if I can get in for a presentation, I'll have enough references at the presentation to kind of vouch for me. Yeah. So that's my next step. I do see referrals because I have had some pretty awesome agents that will like just blast my name everywhere in Facebook groups and stuff like that, which it feels awesome. I wanted to do a referral program, but what I kind of started doing was every 2 referrals, I'll give a free reel. And I found that has made people that would never order reels on every single order now. The first time I did it, I was just like, yeah, here, I'll just throw this in for you. You gave me 2 referrals. And then she was like, oh my God, why have I waited so long to try one of these out? And she just started doing it every time. So I'm like, I got to do this every time.
Yeah, now you get the average order value and the referral bump. That's crazy. That's a good idea.
That's kind of what I went, because sometimes to agents like 50 or $100 off, it's just like, it's still something, but it's like, it's not like handing them it physically, or it's almost meaningful. Don't even notice it type thing.
Yeah, whereas the reel, they get like an asset that they can use that promote. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've always been of the mindset that I think sometimes if you incentivize referrals too much, you get less of them. And I think it's more just about incentivizing correctly. So I could see that the reels would make me a lot more likely to refer someone because it's like more product that I'm going to that I get a chance to use to promote me. So that's super
like,
cool.
I haven't really marketed it. If someone gives me 2 referrals, I just tell them, hey, I really appreciate that. I'm going to throw in a reel for you on an order that you choose. So then not only like if they get a kind of like a property they don't love as much, and it keeps them coming back because they know they have a free reel with you eventually when they want to use it. So it kind of keeps them coming back and it keeps them referring people to you as well. So
did you think you'd grow as fast as you did? Just curious. You have like the core like stuff that tells me someone's gonna grow fast, but yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I kind of seen other people in the program doing it, and I've reached out to a lot of other very successful people in the program who I talk to monthly, and it's it's much appreciated. And just seeing them do it, I've always been the type of person, if someone else can do something, I can do it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say I saw myself, like I pretty well was hoping that I was going to be at the place where the people I was talking to were at by the end of 6 months, and they were all at this mark. So it's like, maybe at the first few months I was like, holy, is this really going to work? But going into this, I was kind of like, I can do this. Like,
that's such a good strategy though. It's so hard to, like, when I look back to when I first started, I thought $4,000 a month was so much money. And so I think I acted as if it was. So it took me longer, not in any like, you know, woo woo way. It's just like, if you know something's possible, your brain's going to give you like, it starts figuring out how to solve that instead of going like, is this, and second guessing. So that makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of my growth in my businesses has been when I knew somebody who was like kind of reset what I thought was possible. So yeah, thanks for your time, Jacob. Really appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you for everything. It's been good.